To love is to hate one. Miss Bai Yin, you don't have to pay attention to him. After saying that, the senior coldly shot a warning stare at his third son, before returning his attention to the woman. That smile could only be called majestic in how warm it was. Please don't take offense over my foolish son's word. Our Wang family would love to have you be our guest of honor. This family is still headed by me, Wang Yufan. How can I allow anyone else to start deciding things while I'm still here? Father, struck with an idea, Wang Deqiu takes this opportunity to ask, do you know the whereabouts of a dragon fruit? I heard one appeared in the city some time ago. Dragon fruit? And family? Groaning with an unsightly expression, Wang Deqiu's expression could only be called terrible when turning to face the woman. Miss Bai Yin, I'm sorry to say, but the relationship between our Wang family and the Yin family isn't very good. Now that the dragon fruit's been obtained by their side, I fear. Their information is consistent to what I have as well. No matter, this dragon fruit will be mine regardless of whoever has it. Caressing her chin, Bai Yin appears to be thinking up a solution. These matters are of no concern. I will deal with it. As she said that, a gleam of dangerous light seems to be beaming out of her eyes like someone ready to kill. Mother, if it's okay, can I go rest first? I'm tired. Pursing his lip pitifully, Bai Xiachen looks up at his mother with those big innocent eyes of his like he's pleading for a yes. Okay, you go ahead. There's no way Bai Yin wouldn't notice the enraged gaze coming her way from the bastard. As such, she deliberately returns a smirk of her own to counter the ill intent. Unbeknownst to the others though, that smirk only appeared somewhat gloating on the surface, but the underlying intent was that of danger and murder. If Wang Dei had pushed this even further, it's not beyond the realm of him being killed on the spot, due to his impudence. Fortunately, Bai Yan's attention span didn't last long on the man. Otherwise that oppressive aura invisible to all the rest would have likely made her target wet himself already. That's how heavy it was. Visit my site Translation to read ahead of the public releases. Father, I will also take my leave first then. Hurrying to cup his hand at the senior, Wang Dei immediately ran away with his tail behind his legs. Nevertheless, the anger and venomous gaze in his eyes said all that needs to be told. He's not going to let this end. Inside the Western Wing's study room, Wang Dei had only just pushed open the door when he was greeted by a middle-aged man already inside. Their looks were very similar, only one was more masculine and gloomier. Big brother. Seeing his elder brother acting so nonchalant still, Wang Dei could no longer hold back his temper. Wang Deqiu is back again, and he even brought an alchemist back with him. Why are you acting so calm still? We need to figure out a solution, otherwise he would once again get in our way. Turning around casually, Wang Diyuan first only showed a disapproving smile at his third brother before closing that book in his hand. And what of it? There's no reason to be so anxious. He can't do anything to impact us at this point. The position of the future heir to this household can only be mine now. The reason is no other. That's what he gets for having a useless son, and not taking a new wife after losing his last. Without a good heir, father would never allow the future of the family to befall someone so incapable even if it's 2 generations down. Big brother, you still don't understand. Old Two brought back a beautiful girl this time. And she's the alchemist mentioned in the letters. What if father changes his mind due to the Dan pills? To love is to hate too. I heard that the people from the in-house has taken the dragon fruit, hasn't they? If I buy it off them and deliver it to the medicine sect, who do you think would win in the end? Old Three. I refuse to believe father would still insist on passing the title of chief to Old Two by then. Medicine sect? You mean that mega power that's on equal grounds with the Misty Fairy House? The excitement could not be contained within Wang Dei's heart, as it made him shudder all over at the wondrous news. He simply never imagined his eldest brother here would get in line with another major power, when their family was already working under another one. That's right. Raising a smirk in his cheeky face, Wang Diyuan, first, spells out his plan. There will be an elder from the medicine sect coming to attend father's birthday in a few days. I need that dragon fruit, so go make contact with the Yin family. It will be our trump card to end this trivial fight. Shaking his head, Wang Diyuan seems disappointed by his third brother's short-sightedness. Because I can't have our father learning of this. Whether it be by force or by payment, everything must be done under the table and out of sight. Otherwise, father would surely snatch the dragon fruit away from our hands when he learns of it. Now Wang Dai III finally understood. You are truly a genius, big brother. Compared to you, old two doesn't stand a chance. Not to mention that bastard Wang Diqiu also has a son who likes to make troubles. If you got nothing else to say, then take your leave. I want to know everything about that woman who came with old two. Remember, if anything happens, even the slightest, you must come back and report it to me. Then what about Wang Xiaopeng? Asked Wang Dai. Nothing but a useless garbage. No need to waste manpower over that brat. He can't raise any storms by himself. Yes, I understand, big brother. But just when Wang Dai wanted to turn away to leave, that's when he recalled that strange kid that came with his nephew. For some reason, he's got an ominous feeling about the boy and that gaze he saw. It's too cold and too dangerous. Sadly, his moment of hesitation had cost him here, because Wang Diyuan have already returned to his book. This should be fine, still just a child. If we don't need to keep tabs on Wang Xiaopeng, then there shouldn't be any reason to monitor a stranger's kid. Yes, I must be overthinking this. Calming his poor heart, this youngest brother of the Wang house his worry away, and went ahead, all the while not forgetting to close the door behind himself when departing. For a settlement that's not a major hub of a kingdom, the streets of this fairy city were surprisingly busy, more so than even the capital of the Lu Hui kingdom. Just that it's unsure when, but the bustling crowds have all quieted for some reason. For one, they've never seen such a cute boy in all their life. To say the child was carved entirely out of a precious jade stone was no understatement. That just goes to show how adorable he was. Boss. Though the gazes weren't directed at him specifically, still, Wang Xiaopeng was having trouble adjusting to this level of attention. Didn't Sister Bai Yin have us go rest? Wouldn't it be bad for us to quietly sneak out on our own? Not minding the woes of his friend, Bai Xiachen only seems interested in whatever was on his mind. Tapping his finger on his lip. Xiaopeng, do you know which way is to the in-house? And family? Tangled in his voice, the chubby seems troubled and tied in his response. Boss, it can't be that you want to go there, right? Mother said she wants the dragon fruit, so I'm going to test the water. Say, Xiaopeng, do you think I would be able to get the fruit by exchanging my snacks? A flash of hopeful glimmer could be seen on that little face while he asked. As mother's most precious son, I mustn't let anything worry her. That means I need to help solve her problems by getting the dragon fruit. By then mother would surely love me more. Showing a crimson red, Wang Xiaopeng's appeared quite flustered. You still remember how I got kicked out of the Wang house? Well, it's because I beat up someone. That person is the young master of the in-house and Xiang Ran. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Or if you want to read ahead, try becoming a Patreon backer. The first tier is just $1, so give it a shot. Overprotective son too. This throbbing sensation was unsettling her to the point of wanting to escape from this place. Nevertheless, Bai Yin suppresses that inner panic away to allow the man to continue his way. Deet Song biting her lips. She wanted to say something there only to be smothered by another pair of lips. Be good, his voice warm and soothing to her ears. I need to leave for a few days. Wait for me here, okay? This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation in response. Bai Yin subconsciously turns away, avoiding the man's gaze like the act alone would be able to stop that emotion from spilling forward. Towards this display, Deet Song didn't press for more, only leaving a kiss on her forehead as a memento before releasing his hold. I will be back soon. Minutes after being left alone again, Bai Yin was still stuck in her bedazzled state of emptiness. She didn't move, only idly staring at the doorway where the enchanting man left from. A humph. The sudden cough brings her back to attention. Brother, how come you are here? Sister, are you thinking of brother-in-law? Bai Zhao's mischievously chuckles at her state, finding it amusing how rattled his sister was. Bai Yin didn't respond to that question, only silently standing there like she's unsure what to say. Sister, brother-in-law seems to be behaving very well in front of you. Why are you not accepting him? The teens I was filled with complication. Reasonably speaking, such a wonderful prospect should be a no-brainer for most women. I know. Bai Yin makes a wry smile. Back when she first met Di Song, the man was arrogant and domineering like a bloodthirsty beast. However, that very same man never once harmed herself in light of all that, and would even maintain a protective stance around her existence. Naturally, that gave Bai Yin the impression it was all for her son's sake, but now she didn't know what to think of all that. Since you know, then why are you, brother, interrupting the teen's word? Today Xiachen almost fell into danger. That was all caused by him, even if it was an indirect cause. Bai Yin knows, because of her carelessness, she and her son would have been in great peril today, if not for Di Song appearing in the nick of time. In the end, my strength is still not enough. Sister. Bai Xiao stares at the woman with surprise in his eyes. Xiachen almost fell into danger? How could I have missed something so important? With the strength I have right now, I still can't stand in the same stage as him. He may be able to save us this time. But what about the future? The dangers that comes with being by that man is endless. I can't risk such a decision. And there's still the question of choosing between herself and the demon realm. If the crossroad does arise and present itself, which would he pick? All of these questions must be answered before she could give everything up. Sister, I don't understand this all that well, but no matter what happens, I will always stand by your side and support your decision. Even if it is Di Song or anyone else of similar stature, they won't stop me from shielding you from your happiness. The teens I was exceptionally firm and concrete there, thus raising a current of warmth in the receiver. Do not worry, once I have enough strength to protect myself from those old relics, then nothing can stop me then. She readily grips onto her brother's hand, assuring the boy with her own warmth. Overprotective Son 3. Also placing his hand on top of hers. The teen never felt so reliable than now with that bright smile. I swear to you, sister, if anything dares to block your path, even if they are gods, I will still remove them for you. I won't allow any obstacle to get in your way. In a stream of light, two little figures were quickly rushing across the front yard right now, with one yelling from the back and the other running away. Stinking little rice. Stop right there and give me back my snacks. Mother just prepared those for me. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. The indicated item was that small medicinal bottle in the tiger's mouth, which little rice would of course not yield as he fled the scene. Bump. Yet, just when the little fella thought he would get away with his prize, the poor thing had directly crashed into the chest of that dominating figure, which got in his way. As a result, this gave Bai Xiachen to not only the chance to catch up to their location, but to also catch the little thief in his arms as he dropped from the air, due to his dizzying state. Stinking little rice, this time I got you. Lifting the tiger up to his face, the kid makes a triumphant grunt to show his victory before looking up. Batty father, are you leaving? Slightly nodding. That's right. I am going to visit the abyss within the demon beast forest. I will return in a few days. Glowing in his eyes over the news, the kid was somehow quite happy for some reason. Then you must come back soon, Batty father. I got something I need to tell you. What is it? Di Song asks, his voice still indifferent as ever. It's about mother. Now that finally roused his interest. Well then, I will be back soon as you wish. Oh right. Suddenly drumming up like an exasperated steam bun, the kid then raises the dizzying tiger up at his old man. I had anti-tie up that by Ruah to take out her soul for little rice, but when he ate it, he didn't get any bigger. In fact, little rice has been getting diarrhea non-stop. Do you know why? Di Song was silent for a while. The quality of the soul did not pass. Bai Xiachen was literally popping his eyes in astonishment, because that could only mean Bai Ruah's soul was too inferior, thus making his friend get indigestion. From now on, don't consume any of those inferior souls. They are useless to you. Casting a downcasting glare at the cat, Di Song gloomily warns the poor thing. Aggrieved over this, the little cat protests outright. I didn't want to eat it. It was little master here who forced me into eating Bai Ruah's soul. It was so gross. I never want to eat another one like that in this life. Just thinking about that disgusting face of Bairua would make the tiger want to vomit. Little Rice, revealing a pang of guilt in his eyes, Bai Xiaochen sounded apologetic in his following words. This time I was wrong. In order to make up for the damage to you, I will not punish you for taking my snacks. Just hand them back over, and we can still be good friends in the future. He's a good boy who knows how to repent after learning his lesson. However, that only applies to anything outside of his snacks. Looking at the lovely face of his son, Deetsong's lip inexplicably curved into a rarely seen smile. This little guy is born of me and Yin Yen. Shooting a frosty glance at the tiger, who wouldn't release his jaws around the bottle. Give the bottle to Xiaochen. You two are bullying me. Putting on a protective position, the baby tiger was almost ready to cry there. He never expected this demon king to be a doting father who would join forces with his young master to bully himself. Give the pills to Xiaochen, and the next time I will find you a powerful soul to eat. I don't want to eat souls, the tiger instantly protests. Adorable little lamb 1. Wrinkling his brow, Wang Dei remains suspicious. Many days? Can it be old 2 is really not responding? Leave first and continue spying on my brother's movement. As for that woman who came with him, sneering with a sinister light in his iris, she better mind her own business otherwise. And House skirting into the courtyard with his peachy robe. And Xiang Ran really does have the making of a fine lady, if not for that conspicuous bump on his throat. Xiang Ran, you are back? Like an obstacle, that vigorous and powerful voice belonged to the old senior behind the boy, which startled him upon recognition. Grandpa, are you looking for me? Because the kid didn't quite understand the intent of his grandfather for asking. And Xiang Ran held off on replying immediately, and instead took a moment to think it through. That chubby from the Wang family is a tyrannical character. I'm afraid you will suffer if you get too close to him, so. Grandfather, exclaiming on the spot, the kid finally got it. I have the freedom to choose my own friends. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Ever since he was little, this peachy boy's grandfather and Zheng Nan have always dictated the every move of the boy. That's why he turned out in such a fashion, and without proper friends. Now that the opportunity to mingle with people of his own age group has come, there's no way in Xiang Ran would let it go. I've had enough of those lonely days. But my child, Grandpa here is doing this for your own good. Your father left only you behind. How can I bear to see you being bullied? Listen to Grandpa, and don't have too much contact with those people. He really does care. That's why there's nervousness and worry in those old eyes. It's not like this grandpa wants his grandson to be lonely, just that he's afraid that the boy would suffer a lot of grievances in the pursuit of making friends. It didn't help either when the one they are talking about here was Wang Xiaopeng, a child that has a long history of being physical. But before the elder could further his argument, the boy had already stamped his feet away, leaving the old grandpa full of worries in his eyes. Father! It was then a low muffled voice came from the side. Wrinkling his brows, the senior slowly shifts his gaze over to the source, that was the middle-aged man standing nearby. This person was the uncle of the peachy boy, also the current chief of the in-house. Father, are you troubling yourself again for Xiang Ran's sake? Chuckling at his father's demeanor, and Zhen Ning appears to be more lax in his viewpoint. He's already old enough. We need to give him some freedom, so let him be. Otherwise, it will only be counterproductive if we be too hard. Towards his son's persuasion, the senior only smiled while shaking his head. How can I not understand such things? I just don't want him to be hurt. Zhen Ning, is something the matter in coming to find me? The story is like this. Some time ago I managed to get my hands on a dragon fruit. Then yesterday that third son of the Wang house sent someone to see me, claiming they wished to purchase it for double the price. I'm here to discuss the matter with you. Father, should we sell it? The third son Wang Dei, wrinkling his forehead to the point of it becoming a prune, the elder became increasingly alarmed. You decide, but have our people be on the lookout nevertheless. No. The grandpa had only just finished making his decision when this proud squealy voice cuts him off. But my boy, why can't we sell this dragon fruit to the Wang house? Confused by his grandson's outcry, the senior questions the boy. I say no is no. Puffing up his cheeks, the peachy boy appears to be very displeased. The dragon fruit is mine. I won't allow it to be sold to that person. Adorable little lamb, too. Because in Xiang Ran's parents died prematurely, whether it be the senior or the current chief of the in-house, both adults would pamper this peachy boy to the point of calling it spoiled. Therefore, it didn't take much at all for the grandpa to nod happily in agreement. Okay, the dragon fruit is yours, my child. Zhen Ning, go get it for your nephew in a bit. Okay, father, smiling as well like his father. And Zhen Ning readily answers the request. Then what about the Wang house? Just ignore them. It's quite rare for his grandson to demand something, so there's no way this doting elder would deny it. As for that third son of the Wang house, who the heck does he think he was? At best nothing, but a next-generation brat of a wealthy family. It's not like the chief of that household was making the demand himself. While all of this was occurring at the other place, Bai Yin on the other hand was currently enjoying herself by sipping away at the tea she prepared. Mother. Quickly following after this call was a small little hand pushing open the door. Mother, is there something you are thinking about? Placing the teacup down, Bai Yin pulls her son up to her lap. I asked your Auntie Hualuo to investigate the in-house. It shouldn't be long before she gets her hands on the dragon fruit. Mother, cuddling into her arms to meet that intimacy, Bai Xiachen proudly looks up at the woman. Let me handle this matter, okay? You can rest while I do. Yet, instead of getting very happy at her son's request, Bai Yin only showed a suspicious face. You can do it? Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Instantly exploding at the lack of confidence. The little steambun's face was a cherry red due to his own emotions. Is mother not believing in me? Unfortunately for the baby boy, that appearance could only be called adorable, causing the woman to sneak a peck at the next possible chance. No. Of course mother would believe in my little precious boy. You are very capable, and I'm proud of my one and only son. Only then did Bai Xiachen nestle back into those arms. I am mother's sweet little lamb. I will solve all of your problems so you can stop working so hard. I'm old enough now. I can take care of you. I can take care of you. Like any mother. That statement could only be called soul-penetratingly warm. Okay, I will believe you this time then. Revealing a smile as bright as the sun. Bai Yin couldn't ask for a better son in this lifetime. Wah! But before the mother and son duo could continue their family time, an earth-shattering cry from the outside had broke the mood. Let's go and see what's happened. Before long, the scene of a little girl crying her hearts out in the yard had come into sight, and beside her was a certain little kitty sitting there, licking its paws with a fierceness in its eyes. Qing. Note. Old Chinese literature liked to add a to the ending of a name sometimes to show their close bond. It's like the Japanese version of Chan and San. The first to arrive on scene would of course be Wang Dei, because the man recognized it was his daughter's voice long before anyone else. What happened? The kitty glared at me. Clinging onto her father's hand, the girl wholeheartedly cries out, Hurry and drive that kitty away, father. I want it gone. Leaving one. Actually, I think Xiaopeng is rather cute in the way he is. Turning to face the kid in question, Bai Yin shows off a genuine smile. He is one of the few friends my son recognizes. Even though Wang Diqiu never looked kindly at his own brat, because of that poor behaviors, but now that someone was applauding the chubby kid, it's only normal he would feel happy inwardly as a father. That is the kid's blessing then. Unlike my son who only knows how to cause trouble all day, I could only dream about having a well-behaved son like Xiachen. This translation is only hosted on Translation. Am I really my old pop's son? Or did he just pick me up from somewhere? Wang Xiaopeng was so full of shock over those deploring words that he's beginning to question his own lineage. Alright, Miss Bai Yin, is there a reason for you in visiting us today? Though that attitude in the voice sounded like he's displeased still, but that smiling grin already sold himself out. I've long heard of the Wang family's name, that works under the Misty Fairy House. Since I am in business with your family, It's only normal I go give them a visit in person as a form of respect. How about it? Note: for those who forgot, the Misty Fairy House is the third great power in the story. In that split second, Wang Diqiu's face definitely twitched for a bit. Narrowing in his eyes, the man finally got serious. May I ask, Miss Bai Yan, and how you learned of my identity? There shouldn't be anyone within the kingdom who knows about us and who we really are. Please relax. Did you forget what I do? As the owner of the flower brothel, I would of course be privy to many sensitive information. As to how I know, I didn't until recently, in fact. Though I've long heard about how you were driven out of your house years ago. Just that I never expected to become your neighbor several years down the road. Haha. After a second of being startled, Wang Diqiu immediately broke out into a hearty laugh. How silly of me. The flower brothel may be only a third-rate power, but in terms of information gathering, I doubt any other power out there can be a match. But then again, one question still bothers me. Miss Bai Yan, is there a reason for you to personally visit my family? Visit? Oh, come on. As if I would be that gullible to believe something so silly. There's no way this busy woman would do something so time-consuming. It's not anything especially special, really. Just that I heard a dragon fruit has appeared somewhere close to Fairy City. Since your Wang family resides in that city, I figured it would be a perfect chance to stay there while I searched for the ingredient. I can't exactly pass up the opportunity to gather the main material in creating a 3-soul Dan pill now, can I? The item mentioned above was a unique medicinal pill that could help those in the king rank directly break into the monarch rank. Unfortunately, the main ingredient, the dragon fruit, wasn't something just anyone could come across. That's why she's going to make a personal trip for it to avoid any unexpected issues. To be clear though, the dragon fruit mentioned here wasn't the same type of fruit back on Earth. It's a spirit fruit cultivated by using the blood of a true dragon. Since dragons have mostly disappeared from this land in the eyes of most humans nowadays, it's not hard to imagine how difficult it must be to come across one of these rare fruits. Issuing out a sigh of relief over the news, Wang Diqiu was glad the woman didn't have ulterior motives. If that's the case, then please forgive me for being overly suspicious. If it's a dragon fruit, then you can count on me. I will definitely help you find it, even if you need 100 of them. Leaving too. Don't kid around. If not for her, then would father let us return to the family? It's only normal that I help when it's required. Caressing her chin, Bai Yan apparently didn't mind the help. All right, I will remember your promise then. But before you get me the dragon fruit, you must go to Dragon Clan's home first. This translation is only hosted on Translation Drag. Dragon. That's right, and it must the fire dragon's home. To produce 100 of said fruits, then we will need the blood of 100 dragon. And it has to be fire dragons as well. Feeling a burst of sweat coming out of his forehead, Wang Diqiu could already feel his face burning from shame. I was only kidding around. Please don't take me seriously, Miss Bai Yan. As for the dragon fruit over at Fairy City, I will definitely help you in every way possible to get it. 100 fire dragon. Where the heck am I supposed to find that many when I couldn't even find one in this world? Moreover, even if I do find one, that dragon would kill me with a single breath. This not wanting to dwell on the subject lest he digs the hole any deeper, Wang Diqiu hurriedly shifts the topic away. Miss Bai Yan, when would you like to leave with us? Pondering for a good moment, I guess tomorrow will do. Okay, I will postpone our departure until tomorrow. My father's birthday is a month away anyways. We got plenty of time to get there even if the distance from here requires half a month of travel. After getting the agreement from the man, Bai Yan figured there's nothing more to be said, so she was just ready to leave when something caught her attention. It was a girl and she was staring at her son. Son. Lowering her gaze to the boy, Bai Yan's mouth inexplicably curled into a brilliant smile. That little girl is looking at you. Looking over to the indicated direction, Bai Xiaochen immediately recognized who it was. Wang Xiaotong. Going bright in his eyes, the baby boy happily waves at the girl. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Now that did it. Acting as if having the arrow of love striking her heart, Wang Xiaotong's sister, slightly nods her head before completely hiding herself away like a shy little cutie. Son, is this the girl who wanted to be your wife from before? Growing deeper in her smile, Bai Yin suddenly went all matchmaker at this moment. I think she's quite cute. Why don't you? Mother, don't you want me anymore? Tightening his grip around her mother's hand, the little steam bun looked all aggrieved in his eyes like she just did the most deplorable thing a mother could do. I do like Xiaotong, but that's only because I want a little sister. I don't want to marry. I only want to stay by mother's side. Batty father said it before. If I get married then he will send me away. No way. Absolutely no way am I going to let Batty father get his wish. Faintly chuckling at her son's antic, Bai Yin readily pinches the little guy on the nose as a little tease. You are still young so I won't meddle in your affairs. But if in the future you do find a girl then must remember to bring her home. Understand? A man must have commitment and be reliable. No way was she going to let her son in this lifetime become like that father from the previous life. That man obviously loved mother, but in the end he only watched from the sidelines during the crisis. What for the family's sake, he was nothing but a coward. Mother, hugging his mother's leg, Bai Xiaochen snuggles his head against that thigh like he's holding the most precious thing in this world. I will be a good child and not get married. I will be mother's most precious son and a good boy. Birthday Storm 1. Chief of the in-house has arrived. Under the complimenting voice of the people, this high-pitched announcing sound clearly had a resonating effect on the guests, because all had got silent. The mood was totally different from a second ago where laughter and chattery was abundant. It's no secret that the relationship between both families were not close at all, compounding the fact that Wang Xiaoping had beaten Xiang Ran several years ago. It's more fitting to say their stances are that of enemies than friends. So imagine the surprise in everyone's mind to hear the in-family chief coming in person to the birthday banquet. Turning their heads, all attention was now placed onto the peachy boy and his uncle. While Xiang Ran didn't give a hoot about the extra eyes coming his way, his uncle didn't think the same, especially when he finally saw Wang Xiaoping stuffing his face on the dining table. Chiefin, what a pleasure to have you come. Coming out from his initial shock, the senior and host for the day hurried to step forward in open arms for the unexpected guest. A humph, issuing a dry cough to clear his throat, and Zhen Ning subconsciously swept his eyes to the side where his excited nephew stood. I am here with my nephew to show him the ways, and to bring a congratulatory gift as well. After saying that, he was about to let the servants bring in the said gifts. However, his nephew and Xiang Ran had beat him to the punch by rushing ahead for the main dining hall. Visit my site on Patranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases like any careless dote who didn't pay attention to his own speed. It didn't take much for the peachy boy to trip over something. Crashing hard to the floor, the delicate box inside the kid's sleeve had rolled forward, revealing the contents inside with its red radiance. Xiang Ran, scared to the point of losing his spirit, and Zhen Ning could no longer care about the gift-giving. Running over himself, he hurries to check on the boy's welfare. My boy, how are you? Did you get hurt anywhere? The man's face was full of tension and worry. I am fine. Shaking his head, the peachy boy was just ready to pick back up the box when something unexpected occurred. An unknown hand had snatched it away from him first. Gee, your in-house is too polite, giving us such valuable gifts. I will go ahead and collect it first for my father. Grinning right up to his eyes, Wang Dai's ugly smug could only be called an eyesore. How unexpected for them to use the dragon fruit as a gift. If it was normally then we would have no choice, but now. Haha, the medicine sex elder will be here soon. Wang's family old 3. And Zhen Ning's complexion got dark. This dragon fruit belongs to my nephew and not a gift. Please return it too. He's already being quite polite there. If was his father instead, the old pops would have directly taken action already. Chiefin, a gift that is already sent cannot be returned. Don't you know any manners? Wang Dai's face was very shameless there, showing every intent to steal the fruit from its owner. Naturally the people here today wouldn't miss the odd behavior. Lowering their voices into a whisper, the discussions could only be called humiliating for the host. What are you doing, old 3? Hurry and return the dragon fruit this instant. The grandpa roars, embarrassed to the point of wanting to dig a hole and hide in it. Leaving for receiving the Dan pill from his mother, Bai Xiachen had no qualms about forcing it down the fatty's throat. Naturally, Nangong Lin would be very much afraid over what he just ingested. In his panic, the fatty urgently attempts to puke it back out using his finger as a mean. Sadly, there's no way that would be possible when such amazing medicines are prone to melt upon contact with one's saliva. In the end, the only thing that ever came back out was a bucket of yellow vomit and stomach fluid. You! Initially, that voice still carried an intense rage, enough to frighten even an adult. But that quickly changed when Nangong Lin's iris began to hollow out into emptiness and confusion. It's as if the child just forgot his current situation during that split second. Mother. Puzzled in his voice, Bai Xiachen turns to the source for an answer. Isn't the pill from mother some sort of healing medicine? Not minding her son's doubt, Bai Yin slowly came before the prince and revealed the truth. Tell me, who are you? Who am I? Still full of confusion in his eyes, the fatty peers up at the reddish figure, without a clue to his surroundings. Remember, you are the grandson of the current king of Lu Hua Nangong Lin. I am going to send you back to the palace, and there you shall stay by the dowager's side while you grow up. Always keep this in mind, you won't listen to anyone's word, only your grandmother's. Nodding aimlessly, the fatty gradually responds with a certain level of understanding. Okay, I will listen to my grandmother's teaching. Very good, I will get someone to take you home now. After saying this, Bai Yin wasted no time in calling a guard from within the lawn estate to do the deed. Mother, what's wrong with him? Even more puzzled than before, Bai Xiachen makes a tug at his mother's sleeve with those puppy eyes of his. I only made him lose all of his memories, and nothing in the future would help him recover them again. Faintly smiling. This is for his own good, the best ending for everyone. That's right. Nangong Lin has once again become a blank slate ready to be molded like a newborn baby. Whether or not this child becomes evil or good in the future, that would be entirely up to the dowager's teaching from now on. Making a clear nod of agreement, it appears the little steam bun thought the same. That's wonderful, mother. With Queen Granny's personality, there's no way Nangong Lin would turn out the way that he did anymore. He would definitely become a good person when he grows up. Pleased with his son's view, Bai Yin readily rubs the boy's head with amusement in her eyes. Let's go then. We need to first say goodbye to everyone inside before setting off tomorrow. If it was the past her, then she wouldn't have shown such mercy or kindness. That much Bai Yin was certain of. However, she has her son now. For him, she would become the saving grace, if she must to be the ideal model. Mother, can we come back quickly from the trip? Showing distress on his cute little face, the baby boy just lost all of the glee from his eyes. Oh crap. What to do? I promised to help Batty Father earlier. If we leave, then it would mean he won't be able to find us upon his return. Okay. Though Bai Yin was slightly taken aback by the request, she nevertheless answers it without further thought in mind. The woman just couldn't fathom her own flesh and blood. The very part that brings joy to her very existence would actually betray her and sell herself out to Deetsong. Once inside the lawn estate, Bai Yin immediately went about in informing her family the news that she's leaving for a few days. Though the rest of the Lan family members were reluctant to see her go, but it was Lan Xiaoyan who made the biggest commotion by crying her hearts out until snot and tears filled that dainty face. No matter how much this hurts, they knew it wouldn't change Bai Yan's mind. Due to the suddenness of this trip, it's only to be expected that she wouldn't catch everyone with the news in time. Take Chu Yi and Di Xiaowan for example. Because these two troublemakers were out making their round across the city, they didn't even get wind of this news until the following morning. By then, it was already too late, and the pair was long gone. Chu Yi was still okay in how she took the news, but the demon princess, on the other hand, could only be called earth-shattering. She really did make it seem like the world's about to fall apart in the way she's ready to faint. This time that ferocious brother of yours wouldn't beat you to death, would he? As if her friend's worry wasn't bad enough, Chu Yi just had to add this tidbit to frighten the poor demon girl to the brink of insanity. As a result of the blow, Di Xiaowan finally collapsed. I miss my gentle and kind state teacher. Birthday Storm 3. Damn this hateful cat. He's actually a demon beast as well. I've let my guard down. But a cat is a cat. How can I possibly lose to a cat? Or so that's what this scoundrel thought anyways, because the last bit of hope he had was shattered in that split second. The reason, though it was faint and brief, Wang Dei could clearly see the word king appear above Little Rice's forehead there. This is no cat. He's the king of animals, a tiger. Gushing with blood from his facial wound. The severe pain causes the bastard to issue out a deafening scream. Perhaps it's the shock of how quickly things advanced, or he's just inexperienced to such events. But Xiang Rang Peachy Boy has finally realized how close he came to danger back there and burst into tears. It's okay, Xiang Ran, it's okay, uncle is here. In one sweep of his arms, and Zhun Ning pulls his nephew into his embrace with distress clearly shown on that face. Nothing can harm you, my boy. Uncle won't let any who dares to hurt you get away with this. Sniffling like a little wife there, and Xiang Ran peers up at the stoic figure while wiping his tears. Uncle, that dragon fruit. I wanted to give it to my friend Bai Xiachen. Bai Xiachen? Lapsing out for a second there. And Zhun Ning then remembers who that name belongs to. According to his memory, that should be the boy who's been playing with his nephew recently. Is that why Xiang Ran is on good terms with Wang Xiaopan now? Just as he was thinking this, the current chief of the in-house had found his attention grabbed by that little steam bun coming over from the front. He had to admit, because of how adorable Bai Xiachen looked from the surface, he too was having a good impression of the child at first glance. As for Wang Xiaoping, who's also coming over, well, there's nothing more to say aside from being a fat chubby, who made him want to smack that boy out of reflex. That, seeing his friends are here now, and Xiang Ran fidgets around like he's ashamed of himself. I'm sorry, Xiachen. I wanted to give you the dragon fruit today as a surprise, but I didn't think it would turn out like this. Visit my site on PA Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Rolling his eyes at the Peachy Boy's reaction, Wang Xiaoping uses a "how can you be that dumb" kind off tone in his voice. Seriously, it's not like you don't know my third uncle's foul nature. Why would you choose such a place to bring the dragon fruit? You should have done it in private, and not in such an open occasion. In the face of his newfound friend Bai Xiachen, and Xiang Ran's tone could only be called friendly, borderline worshipping even, but against the gobsmacking chubby, his reception was as usual in his manner of fusing that double sissy finger posture. For those that don't know what the author is referring to, try searching up Sailor Moon's picture. When have I and Xiang Ran ever given a gift in the shadows? If I'm going to give a gift, then it must be done in the open. If anything, it should be me asking you about this. How can your third uncle be this shameless, Xiaopeng? Not missing his nephew's wording there, and Zhun Ning immediately began examining the said boy. So Xian Ran took the dragon fruit from father because of this child? Uncle, do you remember the snow fox that I brought back a few days ago? It was Bai Xiachen here who got it for me. He took me to MT Qinling for it. Bai Xiachen got it for you? Just the three of you? And Zhun Ning was clearly surprised by this piece of information based on how wide his eyes were. Forget about himself. Even a full party of adventurers would have a difficult time returning safely, let alone bringing back a snow fox. Aha, Bai Xiachen is really amazing, uncle. He only needed to give the word, and those demon beasts were all kneeling before us to let us go. Now that was even more shocking of a news for the man. One word is enough to make a group of demon beasts submit? Who is this boy? But if what Xiang Ran said is true, then giving out this dragon fruit is more than worth it. While the group was busy with their own revelation and chit-chat, Little Rice, on the other hand, has already finished up his mission of retrieving the dragon fruit. Wagging his tiger tail happily, he immediately runs back over to the little steambun's side in anticipation for some pampering. Birthday Storm 4. Little Rice is amazing, rubbing the tiger's head. By Xiakinkapi's exactly what his mother does to himself when he does something right. Sure enough, Little Rice's expression instantly showed satisfaction over that compliment. Stretching out his paws lazily, The fella hurriesto jump into the kid's arm for warmth. Mother! Just as the kid finishes turning his head around, that's when he saw the reddish figure slowly strolling up to his spot. But in order to not be outdone, he also dashes forward to cling onto those extravagant legs of his own accord. I brought you the dragon fruit like I said. Are you happy? Xiachen is very good, my most favorite and capable son. Caressing the little steambun's face, her smile could only be called motherly warm. What sort of reward would you like? Mother is the best reward I can get. But if you must, I want Motherto give me hugs and kisses. Looking up with hopeful eyes, the boy clearly wanted her to do just that. Visit my site on Patranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Oh my sweetheart, my precious baby. Bai Yin was full of joy as she picked up the child to smother him with kisses. It's as if no matter how many times she did so it was not enough. Look at them. And look at yourself, you damn brat. Seeing how warmly the pair was acting, Wang Diqiu could only squint his eyes with jealousy. Why can't you say something nice to your old man here and make me happy? Wang Xiaoping was dumbfounded, because he already tried that before by copying his friend there. Now he's blaming me for not being sweet in my tongue? Like his grandson, Wang Yufan also sighed right now. Why is it that other families' children and grandchild are always better? So behaved and smart, totally different from the troublesome bunch you have here. Grunting hard as he attempts to climb back up from the ground. Wang Dei's eyes were dangerously sharp in his ragged state. Miss Bai Yen, I advise you to give me the dragon fruit. No one can protect you if you provoke the medicine sect. Medicine sect? Lapsing out for a second, Bai Yan's head suddenly remembered back to the time with Bai Zhanpeng, the young lord of said power. It's been many days since he left already. I wonder if his body's recovered yet. Perhaps the woman herself hasn't realized it yet, but she's currently being concerned over a supposed stranger, a circumstance that shouldn't be happening at all. In response to the silence there, Wang Dei only took it as the woman being afraid over his threat, showing a sneering smile. If you are afraid, then hand over the dragon fruit. When I offer it up to the elder from the medicine sect, I will also include your part in its retrieval. Maybe if the elder is happy, he might even guide you in your alchemy. Such an opportunity doesn't come often, so think hard on it. Sure enough, a series of gasping and hisses could be heard among the audience. Of the three major powers in this world, the Holy Land was undeniably the strongest in terms of fighting force, with the Misty Fairy house being the most mysterious. As for the medicine sect, as per its name, its healers and alchemy are top-notch. Therefore, to have an elder of said power guide a youngster would be equivalent to giving the child new life. Well, that's in the view of these mundane and ordinary folks anyways. Bai Yen could care less. Stuffing the fruit into her sleeve, she readily leads her son away without shooting another glance backwards. The purpose of my visit here is for the dragon fruit. Now that I have it, I will be leaving. Also, she paused, acting like she's deliberating if she should say it in the open. For the kindness the Wang house showed me during this time, I have placed my birthday gift to Lord Wang in my room. You can go retrieve it when you please. Unlike her mother's indifference, Bai Xiachen on the other hand was much more alive in how he kept waving at his two friends. And Xiang ran, Wang Xiaopeng. I'm going home now with my mother. If you two have any time in the future, then do come find me at my grandchief's place. The peachy boy may not know the little steambun's background, but Wang Diqiu and his brat of a son definitely does. That's why Wang Xiaopeng's eyes were a brilliant star upon hearing the invitation. Okay, Xiachen, I will definitely come visit you at your grandchief's place. Between your grandchief's home and the Misty Fairy house, I wonder which is better. Elder of the medicine sect 1. Hee. Wiping the trickle of blood from the corner of his mouth, Wang Dei fires a sinister glare at his older brother. Old too, is this the way you taught your son? Not only does he turn on his own, he also dares to speak such conceited words. You shut up, Wang Diqiu snapped. My son doesn't need you to discipline him. All right, very well. Snickering with contempt, the scoundrel issues out a laugh bordering on the line of madness. Old too, don't say I didn't warn you. It's you who wouldn't listen, so it's not me who didn't take into consideration for our brotherhood. In response, Wang Diyuan first promptly shot an expressionless look over to Bai Yan's location. Someone come. Stop these two this second. No one is allowed to take a step out of the Wang house without my order. In an instant, large numbers of men from all angles had come running out from their hiding spots, thus surrounding the mother and son pair in a circling formation. Outrageous. I am the master of this home. All of you stand down. Pointing at his eldest son, the old grandpa actually turned blue from the extreme level of disbelief coursing through his veins. You are already old, father. It's time you stepped down from your position. I had intended to wait until I gave the medicine sect the dragon fruit before doing this. But you left me no choice. This is for the sake of the family. If we continue with your stubbornness, then it would eventually lead to the end of our great house. Wang Diyuan's voice sounded very determined, like he's prepared for the worst. I am only doing this for everyone. If our family continues on this path, then it's just a matter of time before our destruction comes to pass. Yet this old stubborn fool doesn't seek help, only letting things continue in this downward slope. Under the light blue sky, Bai Yin slowly stopped in her steps, allowing the wind to blow against her crimson dress and sardonic smile. Do you people really think that with only this much is enough to stop me? After saying that, the air around the woman's body suddenly became a biting cold. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, as the #1 priority. They must stop Bai Yen from leaving lest they want to be considered liars to the expected elder from the medicine sect. But urgency was one thing. It doesn't mean one has to be rash in their actions. As a calm and stable person, Wang Diyuan didn't move right away, only examining the woman for details. This woman is not weak. Without father's support, would the men we have here be able to stop her? In any case, what's done is done. There's no going back now. The dragon fruit must be ours this time. Otherwise we won't be able to explain ourselves in a bit. All of you go attack. Raising his hand, Wang Diyuan calmly gave the order. What a moron! Filled with contempt, Wang Duchio's face was filled with ridicule at his two brothers' idiotic arrangement. Come here, son. Let's watch how they will make their own ending. Because he never bothered to restrain his voice when saying that, it meant everyone in the dining hall was able to clearly hear it. While Wang Dai III appeared disgruntled and annoyed by his second brother's antic, the eldest brother Wang Diyuan on the other hand remains unchanged and watched on as his men moved in. Elder of the medicine sect, 2. Uncle. Tightly pulling against Zhen Ning's hand, the peachy boy revealed a touch of rosy anger from his face as he made his case. These people are too horrible. Can you go help my friend? Xiang ran. This is related to the medicine sect though. The man clearly sounded hesitant. Unlike the Wang house who has the Misty Fairy house backing them from behind, their in-house might not be able to bear the consequences if they do offend such a power. That's why he's not stepping in. I don't care, you have to help Xiachen and his mother. If you don't help them, then I will, giving a thorough stomp of his feet, and Xiang Ran makes his final move. I will leave home and never return. Towards his nephew's unreasonable demand, and Zhen Ning could only make a helpless smile. That's what happens when this little guy is his brother's only son, and the old pop's precious little sweet boy. But just as this man wanted to speak out to intervene, the reddish figure standing in the middle of the encirclement had made her move first. With one quick leap, Bai Yin was now floating in the air. I originally didn't want to make things too difficult for the Wang house, because of Xiaoping's relationship, but you people simply wouldn't let us go. Glass dragon, kill any who dares to block our path. Landing firmly onto the creature's back, Bai Yin issues out this order like a king, a truly ruler of this world. Dra dragon. Wang Dai was deathly pale from the shock. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. How can this be? Dragons have long gone extinct 1,000 years ago. Why does she have a dragon as a ride? This is not possible. Of course, it's not just this scoundrel thinking this. It's been a millennium since dragons have appeared before the mundane in this world. To witness one in real life was equivalent to witnessing a god, a surreal creature of legend. That's why when news broke out of Bai Xiachen becoming the master of this glass dragon, most have already gotten wind of this, the one exception being Fairy City. Then just as everyone was in awe over the serpent flying in the air, a majestic voice untimely interjects itself. It seems I came at the wrong time. Should I leave and return after the Wang family finishes with their affairs? This voice may sound unfamiliar to all the rest, but Wang Diyuan and Wang Dei definitely recognizes it. Just like how they foretold, an elder in white soon appeared from the gloomy clouds, issuing out a ray of hope for these two brothers. Elder Zeng, you came just in time. The scoundrel didn't forget to shoot a venomous glare over to Bai Yan's location. This woman took away the dragon fruit we prepared for you. If your prestigious self came any later, then it would have been too late. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Or if you want to read ahead, try becoming a Patreon backer. The first tier is just $1, so give it a shot. Elder of the Medicine Sect 3. In response to that claim, a slight frown was made by the elder as he shifted his attention over to the specified woman. Fortunately, that's all he did for now until an exclaiming cry from below caught his ears. You are lying. Before the hesitant man could stop his nephew from blurting more careless words in this situation, the peachy boy had already rushed forward to point directly at Wang Dei, using his iconic sissy finger posture. The dragon fruit is mine. I can give it to whoever I please. Who do you think you are? You little twerp, get the fuck out of here. Wang Dei snapped. If not for this blasted little brat, then the fruit would have been mine long ago. And Zhen Ning didn't want to get involved before because of all those aforementioned reasons. But now to hear someone scolding his precious nephew in front of his face, it's time he got serious too. So is the medicine sect the same as the Wang family, robbing others of their possession? This dragon fruit belongs to our in-house, and it is my nephew's wish to gift it to his friend Bai Xiachen over there. Everyone here saw it with their own eyes. Or could it be the medicine sect wants to ignore the opinions of the world and do as they please? Naturally, Elder Zeng wouldn't worry about the mouths of others when it's of such importance to himself. However, that doesn't mean his superior, the sect leader, would turn a blind eye to such tarnishing matters. It's a surety that he be expelled if words got out. Girl, the elder's tone softens up. This dragon fruit is for refining a 7th grade medicinal pill used for breakthrough. Aside from that, it's mostly useless for anything else. I suggest you give it up, so I can put it to better use. This wasn't the senior looking down upon Bai Yan, but rather it's her age that made him think this way. It requires extreme talent and time to reach such high levels in one's alchemy, and the woman there didn't seem to meet any of the criteria. Girl, don't be too hasty in rejecting me just yet. Not getting mad either. The elder only showed a faint smile like he's confident to win her over. I can see you cherish the dragon fruit greatly as well. That must mean you are an alchemist yourself. How about this? If you give me the fruit, then I will help reserve a spot inside the medicine sect for you. Surely a great opportunity like this is better than a fruit that's of no use to you right now? As the most sacred of places for all alchemists in this world, it's well known that the greatest of this profession are part of this power. As to the rest in the wild, they are merely considered half-ass. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Sure enough, everyone present were shooting looks of envy at Bai Yan after hearing this proposal. The only exception being Wang Dei and his eldest brother, who displayed raging hate. It should have been us who was supposed to be rewarded. Now it taken by this woman. Old grandpa. The one speaking was soft and cuddly. My mother already said she's not interested. Why are you still clinging on to my mother so persistently? Aren't you ashamed? Towards the insult, Elder Zeng's complexion definitely grew darker with a tinge of anger slowly seeping up from his eyes. Girl, I am advising you out of consideration. If you pass up on this opportunity, then there won't be another chance in the future. Now there's no way Wang Dei could stay idle upon seeing his coveted item leaving before his very eyes. Roaring out with hate seething through his teeth. No, you cannot leave. Elder Zeng, you mustn't let this woman leave. If she does, then there won't be another chance to take the dragon fruit. So what if she rides a dragon? Dragons have long disappeared for a millennium. There's no way a single serpent could outdo a magnificent power like the medicine sect. You shut up. Elder of the medicine sect 4. The elder was filled with angry steam in his belly over the idiotic man's statement. I wouldn't even bother to come if these bastards had made it clear before. Robbing the dragon fruit. Humph, they may be fine with ruining their reputation. But I'm not. I won't ruin my status within my sect just for their sake. But apparently the scoundrel still hasn't gotten it at this point, so his eldest brother had to stop him with a warning glare from the side. Miss Bai Yan, you can leave now. Pressing down his inner anger, Wang Diyuan unwillingly closes his mouth. But now I don't want to go anymore. Currently leaning against the dragon's horn, Bai Yan's reply carried a somewhat playful tone, like she's toying with them. Gently stroking her son's hair, a stream of cold gleam explodes out of the woman's eye. Your Wang family almost scared my son. Shouldn't you give me an explanation for that? Don't push your luck, Bai Yan. My Wang house isn't some pushover. We are the Misty Fairy House's gatekeeper. Bursting with flair from his body, the scoundrel wanted to lash out only to have the back of his head whacked by something. Father! Enough! Wang Yufan was shuddering all over from the indignation of having his sons overstep him. Have you not embarrassed our family enough already? Go back inside this instant. Without my order you are not allowed to leave the manor. I am not wrong. Wang Dei cocks his head up in refusal. Father, you just don't know how insidious this woman is. She even had her son seduce my daughter, making her say she won't marry unless it's him. If this woman isn't trying to cling on to our family, then what else could she be doing? Not only were the others present gasping and having a moment over that comment, even Wang Diyuan's face has changed over his younger brother's careless remark. This younger brother is really stupid beyond cure. How can he say something like that in open public? What is his daughter supposed to do now in the future? How is Qing'er supposed to face the people of the city? I only want to keep mother company. No one can drive me away. Wah! It was right after the kid's statement that this loud crying shout broke the air. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases for the scoundrel. Wang Dei naturally recognizes the voice as his own daughter Wang Qing'er's. But when his mouth opened in an attempt to soothe that aching girl, he stopped midway for some reason. I don't look good? Raising her teary face, Wang Qing'er asks with hurt all over that voice. In response, Bai Xiachen only nodded without a word after shooting a look at the weeping girl. If it was any other person, then the kid would have perhaps changed his wording out of consideration. But that's what happens. She bullied little Rice. For that reason he won't forgive her. You're speaking nonsense. Wang Qing'er stomps her feet in a fit. I am far better looking than Wang Xiaotong, and I am also better than your mother. She is nothing but an old woman. How can she compare with my youth? All things have a sore spot. This includes a little fox as well. For Bai Xiachen, his mother would be the sore spot. That's why he would never allow anyone to insult Bai Yan. My mother is the #1 beauty in this world. How could you even compare to her? Do you know what shame is? Raising his chin, the baby boy proudly cocks his head high. Glass dragon, spray her. That's what she gets for insulting my mother. In a deafening roar, the dragon's intimidating eyes immediately focuses in on the mentioned girl, sending her tumbling backwards until she came to a fall. And if that wasn't enough, the creature went ahead to spew a ball of flame out at the girl, who had her eyes popping with horror. To love is to hate for. I'll go. And Xiang Ran's eyes suddenly went bright. Wang Xiaoping is a road blind, he doesn't know the way. I will take you to Qinling, the closest mountain range we have here. Even though the demon beasts of the Qinling Mountains are not as good as the ones from the abyss, they are nevertheless still passable. Hence the reason why the baby boy would choose such a terrain so close to the city. Success! Turning around to wink at his chubby friend, Bai Xiachen knew he's got it now. Wang Xiaoping may be unwilling to tag along with this sissy boy. But emotions aside, the kid knew he couldn't start throwing a fit right now. Nightfall. Quietly standing outside the door, Bai Yin had to wait a good while before she could take sight on a certain little figure running her way. Making a dry cough, it's obvious she wasn't too pleased with how timid her son was acting right now after sneaking out for the day. Mother! Rushing up to cling onto those legs, the boy puts on a pitiful appearance in order to take the lead. Where did you go to come back so late? Pricking her brows, Bai Yin questions her son immediately. I was very curious about this place, so I went out with Xiaoping to play. Don't be angry at me, okay, mother? Blinking his big innocent eyes like he did no wrong. It's obvious this wasn't the first time. Sure enough, Bai Yan's stern face instantly melted away after seeing this adorable display. Alright, go inside and rest. It's really late now. No, I don't want to. Clinging full on against the woman's body now, Bai Xiachen starts making demands like a little devil that he was. I want to sleep with mother tonight. When father returns, he will throw me out again. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. You little rascal. Pinching her son's nose, Bai Yin was truly helpless to her son's plea. Bending over, she picks him up with grace and finesse. All right then, you can stay for the night. But starting tomorrow, you must go to your room to sleep. Burying his head into her plentiful chest, Bai Xiachen immediately reveals a peaceful smile, like he just found the safest haven in the world. Mother is my most loved person. I will never leave mother's side. Through the comforting scent of her own son, Bai Yin also had a very good sleep that night. However, the issue lies with her son disappearing the following morning as well. She trusts her son, but it doesn't change the fact that it could get worrying when this pattern continued for several days repeatedly. Over at the west wing of the Wang estate, this is already the third wave of people I sent. Who is that woman, and why do all of them disappear without a trace? Distorted in his face, a perennial gloom could be seen hovering above Wang Dei's second head as he smashed the tea set to the ground. By all accounts, there should be some sort of commotion coming out of that courtyard if Bai Yin intercepted his people. However, it's been quiet during this period, so quiet that it's eerie to those involved. Lord Dei, should we continue to send our men? One of the shadow guards respectfully asks. Inhaling deeply. Don't bother with that woman for now, and focus back over to my brother. Has there been any movement from old Tu's side? No, my lord. Lord Dichio has done nothing other than eat and sleep. If not, then it taking the fifth young miss and young master out to play. Your man is here too. I will give you two choices. First being Wang Diyuan, and Wang Dei must leave the Wang house, never to return to Fairy City again. The second choice, that is, I will do it myself and cripple them. For the grandpa down below, either choices were a difficult one, so he didn't know how to respond. But time won't be on his side today, nor would that powerful aura that's coming from afar permit it. This. Elder Zeng was stunned after seeing the old figure emerging from the clouds. Elder Run-E of the Holy Lands, what is he doing here? Unlike the surprised look coming from everyone though, Bai Yan's second Shifu only had panic and fluster in his appearance as he fled over to the woman's position. How come you are here? Like everyone, Bai Yan also found it strange and shocking. Perhaps it's due to his urgency, or the long distance he traveled. But Run-E was unconventional from his usual cool tone. Grasping hard at his student's shoulder, he blurts out the entire message in one go. Yin Yen, hurry and run. Your man is coming to find you. I can't beat him. Run-E made his last sentence sounded very shameful, like he had no face to show himself before the girl. Then again, they did gang up on Ditsong 3-1 and still lost. Bang! The crowd was thrust asunder by this bombshell of a news the elder of the Holy Land knows Bai Yan, and are closely related. Moreover, he actually cannot beat her man. Who on earth is her man? No longer just showing surprise in his eyes, Elder Zeng from the medicine sect also revealed panic in that old face. Among those in the alchemist profession, the deciding factor to one's status and glory lies solely on their alchemic knowledge and capability. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, and the results. Let's say it was shocking and unbelievable. They were able to show everyone that they've become proficient enough to be recognized as 7th-rank alchemists. To be clear, There aren't many fortunate or skilled enough to reach such heights. Even for the medicine sect, there's only a few very old elders at that stage. Therefore, imagine how ashamed and embarrassed Elder Zhang felt right now knowing the pompous words he spouted earlier. He would rather dig a hole and stuff himself in there to avoid confronting the world. He said, "Ditsong came to find me? How did he know I am here?" Still in the air, Bai Yin went from her initial shock on that face to a look of guilt. This? Rennie coughs a few times like he's embarrassed. It's your third Shifu who inadvertently leaked your whereabouts. It has nothing to do with me and your big Shifu. That's right, Qiu Shu Rong is always the scapegoat in these cases. Just like any siblings, the youngest always gotta take the blame for anything bad. Isn't that the way things go? Shifu. It's as if their hearts just got ruthless smashed until it's been turned to mush. They aren't deaf. For the woman to call Ren-Yi her second Shifu could only mean the other two main elders are also her Shifu. Just that, why does it sound like she's doing the instructing, and the opposite is being instructed? Compared with the shock of the people, Wang Dai on the other hand, could only be called scared beyond his wits. Their Wang family may be the gatekeepers of the Misty Fairy House, but at the end of the day, they are merely watchdogs at its core. Your man is here, 3. Considering Bai Xiaqin's identity, does he even need to seduce a little gatekeeper's daughter? Of course not. That just goes to show how ignorant and foolish the old-timer from the medicine sect was in his flagrant flaunting of power. Yen, hurry and flee. I only managed to get here ahead of time, because I had your two Shifus stay behind to block him. But I doubt they will last long at all. Hearing the anxiousness in Ren Yi's second voice, Bai Yin could only respond with a wry smile of her own. It looks like we're too late. Oh heavens! For these commoners, it's unheard of or even imagine themselves being able to see so many demon beasts at once. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Phoenixes, firebirds, giant eagles, wild gooses. You name it, they had it. And aside from this suffocating level of pressure, there's one particular existence at the flock's forefront. Like an arrogant king overseeing the world, that enchanting figure with his silvery hair was none other than Di Tsong. Son, it seems we can't escape anymore. Going weak in her legs, Bai Yin bites her lip in acceptance. Perhaps this is the real him, a genuine demon king. She has to admit, this new appearance from the man was very different from her original thuggish impression of him. Di Tsong, how come you are here? Stopping before the woman, the man was domineering and showy. You want to escape from me? I am here on business. It's true, she's really here on official business, and not a deliberate attempt at avoiding this man. There's no fault in her words. You could have waited for me before conducting your business. Grasping onto the woman's shoulder, Di Tsong's iris showed a deep level of pain like he's hurt by her actions. Does she find me that disgustful? To the point where she would not say goodbye? I'm sorry. Dropping her head, Bai Yin apologizes like a child who did wrong. Seeing how Di Tsong's attention was gradually shifting over to him instead, the baby boy then readily puts on a aggrieved face like he's suffered some serious indignation. But she is too ugly, and I'm afraid of getting nightmares. Because of that reason, she called mother out as being old, and say she's not good looking. Narrowing his eyes in on that last bit, Di Tsong's aura grew dangerously ominous. Ludicrous, as if such a person is comparable with my woman? In response, Bai Xiaqin only popped his eyes in disbelief. He may be a child, but the boy didn't miss the wording of his old man there. Instead of taking in the first half about himself, and saying he would get even for him, Di Tsong ignored it, and only listened in on the segments pertaining to his mother. I knew it. A wifey is the most important while a son is only an extra. The baby boy depressingly mourns his own predicament. However, Bai Yin thought otherwise. Giving her son a big thumbs up using her eyes, she couldn't ask for a better outcome now that Di Tsong's attention was divided from the fact that she did leave him behind. Adorable little lamb 3. To hear that sudden outburst from the little girl, the current chief of the Wang house would of course be not pleased. From that anxious expression to a cold, hard one, Wang Yufan speaks out using his stern voice. Didn't I say to have her not to come out during this period? Or did you take my words as a joke instead? Father! Wang Dei roars out in refute. She is your own granddaughter. How can you reprimand your own flesh and blood over some outsiders? Besides, this mistake isn't only my daughter's fault. If that cat didn't try to scare her, then why would she cry out? Curling that brow, the grandpa knew his son had a point. If this is indeed the cat's fault, then... Mother! Catching a glimpse of that broken brick next to Little Rice, Bai Xiachen chimes in at the perfect timing. What lazy servants this place has. Such a big brick lying there, and won't even bother to clean it up. What if someone trips over it? Due to everyone's attention being gathered around the little girl's well-being, they had inadvertently missed this crucial picture. Now that the little steam bun has reminded them all of this, it's not hard to imagine what's going on, and who's at fault. Sinking in his old face, the grandpa was the first to speak at this point. The servants of my home isn't foolish enough to make such a mistake. I want an explanation, Qing'er. Sounding guilty in her voice, the little girl uncomfortably fiddles her finger while answering. I am not wrong. All I did was throw a brick at it. I wanted to drive this animal away. What wrong did I do? The Wang family have always been a bloodline that prospered on the male side, so this elder tended to be extra fond of his granddaughters. Therefore, to hear something like this directly from the girl herself, it's not hard to imagine how disappointed Wang Yufan was in his old eyes. Qing'er, I am so disappointed in you. Back then it was you, my child, who provoked that demon beast. That's why it scratched you in the end. Now you want to repeat the same mistake? Shaking his old head, the grandpa sighs helplessly. Old 3, take your daughter back to her room and make sure she doesn't step out of the door. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As resentful as he was over this, Wang Dei could do nothing right now and decides to leave. However, his legs didn't even get past the first step before the indifferent voice from behind caused him to freeze on the spot. Did I say you can leave? Enraged to the point of wanting to erupt, Wang Dei instantly turns around with fire in his eyes. And what do you plan to do about it? Miss Bai Yan, I'm only letting this slide out of respect for your status as an alchemist. If you continue to push your luck, then I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Not minding the rudeness, Bai Yan flatly lays out her terms. Have her apologize to my Little Rice. What? This damn woman wants my daughter to say sorry to a blasted animal? I don't want to apologize, father. It's nothing but a cat. The girl's eyes were just as angry as her old man's. I am a human. I refuse to apologize to a cat that's inferior to me. Crossing her arms around the chest, Bai Yan raises a smirk at them. Don't want to? Alright, that's fine. But before then, I'm sure at least one of you have taken my Dan pills before. Just spit them back out, and we can cancel the deal. Then we are even. No. Steaming as he righteously points at the woman, Wang Dei refuses to stand down. Our family purchased the items with our own money. Based on what can you demand us to spit it back out? Not bothering to answer the ignorant man, Bai Yan only shot a smirky grin at Wang Deqiu, who's standing to the side. Those medicinal Dan pills were provided to us free of charge by Miss Bai Yan here. When did you spend money to buy them? He's been pent up for a while there as well. Now that Bai Yan was giving him the chance to take the stage, how can the man not shine? Provided free of charge? Widening his eyes in shock, Wang Dei became overwhelmed by his second brother's shamelessness. This shrewd woman would provide such precious medicines free of charge? As if. Furthermore, you said she provided it free of charge. Then where did the money father sent to you go? Till end do us part 2. I've removed the threat for you. Whether or not you can seize this opportunity will be up to your own ability. Jumping down from the dragon's back, Bai Yan's first words were directed at his neighbor. Thank you. I won't forget this great favor. Wang Deqiu's wording sounded sincere and honest as he nodded in gratitude. You don't have to thank me. We are in a cooperative relationship, so it's mutually beneficial. What's more? Pausing for a minute, Bai Yan went ahead to rub the chubby's head. I also like this child a lot. In response, the father could only twitch in the corner of his mouth. How is this brat likable? How come I never see that? Miss Bai Yin, showing a flattering smile. From what I know about you, people like my brothers shouldn't be able to get past your keen sights. They are not the type to stay put after being driven out of the household. Hearing those warning words, Bai Yin only smiled to give the man a wink. Take a guess, why don't you? Shouldn't we settle our own scores first before worrying about others? Di Tsong's voice sounded like he wanted to bite down at that tender flesh, like a grouchy sour pouch. But before anyone could respond or stop this, the couple had suddenly disappeared from the spot, following a quick breeze from out of nowhere. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases for this reason. The baby boy could only pop his eyes dumbfoundedly. I got left behind again. Batty father, mother, wait for me. Looking all aggrieved in his cute little face, Bai Xiachen immediately wanted to give chase. However, that wasn't meant to be because one of the giant eagles had untimely swooped down from above, blocking the boy's path as a result. Highness, you can't go. Steaming in his demeanor, Bai Xiachen protests with tears seeping out the corner of his eye. That baddie stole my mother. That is my mother. Highness, the king said he will come pick you up tomorrow, so you can't disturb them for now. This is the king's order. Sire's order is too cruel. Look how devastated the little prince is right now. Little Highness, don't say any more. I want to be alone, so don't bother me. Sniffling his cute little nose, Bai Xiachen turns his back on the eagle and began squatting there like he's scribbling something on the ground. Talk about a sad picture. Oh, my poor little boy. Wiping the old tears from his face, Runny looked as distressed as the boy himself. Unbeknownst to everyone else though, Bai Xiachen was in fact currently writing some circles in order to curse at Di Tsong. Not because he's grieving over the fact that he's been left behind. That evil baddie, does he think he can toss me away just like that? I will forever keep clinging on to mother, so he won't get another chance like this. Till End Do Us Part 3. The scene's a chaotic battlefield with the sky illuminated using the blood of two opposing forces. Yin Yen, go back with me, okay? The one speaking was an almost surreal fairy-like man, peerless and divine. He's the avatar of all that was good in this world. This man, who is he? I have already planned to leave with him, just leave us. Her eyes were filled with astonishment as the scene shifted to another battlefield where another woman stood at the forefront. Why does this woman look so similar to me? Wait, no. To be more accurate, aside from the clothes on that body, what she's witnessing was a woman who had the voice and appearance consistent to her own. Then there's that man beside the woman. Though the face was blurred out as well, Bai Yin could immediately recognize who it was. Di Tsong. That's right, aside from this man. Who else could produce such a domineering and arrogant aura? Why would Di Tsong appear in my mind? Yin Yen, have you really chosen him? The fairy-like man was full of sadness when he spoke. You and him are destined to not end well. Nor are those people willing to let you go for this. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I thought you would understand this better than anyone else. Ever since you've forsaken me for the sake of the world, we are doomed to be on opposing ends. But he is not the same as you. I don't care. Until the end, I will stay by his side till death do us part. Bang! It was directly after that speech that Bai Yan's consciousness was thrust into a spiral spin, bursting the illusion and bringing her back to reality. What did you do to me? Faintly white in the face over the extreme emotions coursing through her veins, the woman's first reaction was to ask the man lying above herself. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Why did I see such a picture in my head? Contract. Di Tsong showers her with a devious grin. I've contracted you. No matter where you go from now on, I will be able to bring you back to my side using it. Aghast by that answer, Bai Yan's complexion instantly changed. You didn't get my agreement, yet you forced me into a contract? You're crazy. This man is really crazy. He actually used such methods to tie me down. Di Tsong, I am very serious in what I'm about to ask you, so answer me honestly. Releasing her already frowning face, Bai Yin turned stern and serious. Ask away. The man readily answers. Who are you? She has a lot of questions and many pertains to that scene from earlier, especially the part where Song appeared. I am your husband, your son and your future daughter's father, your parents' son-in-law, your brother's brother-in-law. What else do you want to know? I will answer them all one by one. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers, it really helps. Or if you want to read ahead, try becoming a Patreon backer. The first tier is just $1, so give it a shot. Picked up a teenager one. By Yan's heart shuddered, allowing her eyes to close and letting that blood-ridden scene to reappear before herself. It's too real. Obviously she was watching this from a bystander's perspective, but the emotions, the pain, the warmth from their hands touching till the end, everything was so real that it hurts. Shooting her eyes open again and returning herself back to reality, Bai Yin confronts the person from above. Song, can I really believe in you? You can believe in me wholeheartedly. Fine, I will trust you just this once, but if you forsake me, I won't let you go. Maybe it was for the previous throbbing, or the scene she saw in that flood of memory. Then Yin, when will you return to the demon realm with me? All smiles from that handsome face. Song gently combs through the woman's hair in anticipation of the answer. Rubbing her chin, the woman puts on a contemplating appearance. I said I would only believe in you. I never said anything about marrying you just yet. Then when are you willing to marry me? Humph, that will depend entirely on your performance. Blinking all innocently like her very own son. Bai Yan's playful look right there, and then was intoxicating. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As a result of that careless seduction, Song could no longer hold himself back. Leaning down again with his overwhelming self, he reignites the burning flame from within. Then I will let you see my performance now. But that's not going to do with the woman. Turning sharp in those irises, Bai Yan's temperament suddenly got cold and distant. Song, if you touch me again before I fall in love with you, then I promise I will never love you again in this lifetime. In light of that threatening proclamation, the smiles from those lips never once changed, thus emphasizing her point even further than what would happen if she were to frown or get angry. For this demon king, he definitely has the desire part of this relationship filled up, but to say he's deeply in love was still too early at this moment. Therefore, Song could only stop in his actions midway and endure that discomfort in the lower rod. I will wait for you, and I will work towards building up our bond till neither of us can ever say no again. The man's voice was low and hoarse as he turned around, reaching over for the quilt and covering the woman in the bed. Until that day comes, I will keep my promise. Then why aren't you leaving? Bai Yin slightly frowns in her face as she asked. Scared? Snickering a sneer, Bai Yin found it rather amusing. Ever since she left her family in the previous life, she has never known what fear was. This was true when confronting the unknown, and it remains true even back when she was struck down by that lightning strike in her last moments of life. Song, you set a contract without my consent, so I have to give you something good in return. The man originally thought she would be angry, and was even ready to accept the impending fury. However, what came next was something totally beyond his expectations. A kiss. Boom. Feeling the blood rush right up to his head from that contact, his entire existence was ready to explode from the excitement. She actually took the initiative to offer me a kiss? It's way too sudden. In a reflexive urge, Song promptly pulled that body closer with his hands and pressed in deeper. Eventually, two constricting bodies were tumbling back and forth atop of the bed, allowing the faint gleam of the moonlight to shine through to their indecent act. After a long period of their electrifying experience, Song was long asleep by then. Chest open and robe partially untied, he was oh so close to the place of Zen. As for the woman currently lying there atop of him, Bai Yin was rather pleased with her little deed based on that sneaky grin there. You will have to try harder next time if you want me, Song, hee. She really did go all out this time, because all that remains clinging to that perfect body of hers was a thin layer of underwear, barely enough to cover any of her private parts. Picked up a teenager, too. Oh, Song, why do you always fall for the same trick even after the last? Revealing a beam of success from her gleeful eyes, Bai Yin quickly dresses herself again, before disappearing off into the moonlight. The Wang family's home. After all this time, Bai Xiachen was still drawing his circles beside the big tree in his crouching position. As such, Ren Yi's second Shifu was starting to get extremely anxious in his demeanor. Oh, my sweet little ancestor. I will take you to find your mother, okay? If you keep being like this, then my old heart is going to die from distress. Mother. From his moody, depressed state, the little steam bun suddenly cries out and made a dash for a certain direction from the front. Following this, what came into view for everyone was a wondrous female figure that's slowly coming over. Mother, I thought you didn't want me anymore. All red in the eyes after being picked up by those slender hands, the little fella looked all aggrieved like he just faced the biggest indignation out there. Doing the same, Ren Yi first wiped the old tears from his eye before speaking. Oh, Yin Yin, where have you been all this time? After you left, your precious son here has been crouching beside the tree and refused to talk to anyone. No matter how I tried, he just ignored me and everyone else. Visit my site on Patranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. You are mother's most important son. How could I ever not want you? Giving the boy a kiss on the forehead, her heart's ready to melt over her son's behavior. Really? The kid's eyes were twinkling with light over that soothing statement, making a lovely smile. I love mother the best. No one can compare with mother. Pleased by her son's sweet-talking, Bai Yin then lets the boy down before shifting her gaze over to the old-timer. Shifu, let's go, shall we? Ah. Slightly started there. Ren Yi's first reaction wasn't an affirming nod. Rather, it's an inquisitive look. But what about your man? Slyly smiling at the question, Bai Yin grew all cheeky. If he's that capable, then he can come find me on his own. Didn't he claim he could find me wherever I am after doing that contract? Alright, let's put it to a test then, humph. K-Queen? Sweating all over, the big eagle immediately attempts to stop this before it's too late. Wouldn't it be bad if you leave like this, Queen? What if the king finds out afterwards? Pricking her brow, Bai Yin replies indifferently to the bird brain. He is resting now. Besides, I never intended to let him know to begin with, so don't go bothering him. But, the muttering of the eagle finally irked the little steam bun. Can't you understand what my mother is saying? Turning dark in his cute little face, Bai Xiachen narrows in his threatening eye at the ignorant fool. Little Highness, Bai Xiachen was an overprotective mother fanatic, hence the reason why he wouldn't allow anyone to defy Bai Yan's order. My mother is always right, and no one is allowed to stop her. Sure enough, panic swiftly arose from the eagle's heart, hurrying to lower his head. Yes, Highness. Now that's a good bird. Patting the eagle on the head like it's a pet. If you are obedient, then I will speak good stuff about you in front of Batty Father. And if you are afraid of being blamed, you can just say mother, and I won't come home if he blames the innocent. Picked up a teenager 3. The giant eagle really was scared now, though the kid's threat was childish, and enough to make him twitch all over due to the ridiculousness of it all. He's still only just a small timer in the eyes of these people. Let's go. Pulling her son's hand along, Bai Yin didn't forget to pick up the baby tiger with her other hand before jumping up the dragon's back. Shifu, come quickly. If we are late, then Song is going to catch up to us. Yes, I'm coming. Without a second thought, Ren Yi instantly faded from his spot and reappeared on the dragon's back as well. As for the giant eagle tasked with watching over the boy, he figured it's still better if he reported this to the king. Therefore, the bird wasted no time in flapping his chicken wings over to the location where Song's aura was hovering. However, just when he's about to push open the door in question, Bai Yan's word from earlier suddenly popped up in his mind again, thus stopping his movement in the last minute. Would King blame me if I disturb his rest? But thinking back to how attentive Song was towards his queen, the bird's swaying mindset once again calmed itself. In a gnash of its beak, he practically jumped right in based on that movement, like he's entering the depths of hell. Sadly for this big eagle though, due to his enormous size. Only that head has managed to fit through. As for his massive body, it's stuck like a chicken hen trying to squirm through the fence. Now he couldn't go in nor get out lest he destroys a part of the entrance, poor bird. Sire, just now the queen said you were in the middle of sleeping. Did I disturb you? The giant eagle hastily asks out of fear. Already awake and leaning against the pillow with his chest still half open, Ditsong squints his eyes towards the ignorant bird. I was never asleep. Then King knew. The news greatly startled the eagle. If King was never asleep, then why did he let the queen go? Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. If my little wife wants to play, then where's the issue? It doesn't matter where she goes anyways. I can always go find her now. Twitching in his beak. If nothing else, should I retreat then? Wait. A slightly dangerous light flickers across the man's iris. Go find the two fools who dares to insult my wife. And when you do, remove them. If Yen Yen does not intend to do it, then I can do it for her. No one is ever allowed to touch her ever. King, I was too late, and someone has already gotten to them before I. The eldest Wang Duan have gone crazy, and the third brother Wang Dai is now crippled, and his cultivation destroyed. Squinting his eyes over this news, Ditsong abruptly burst into a hollering laugh. I knew my wife isn't that kind-hearted. It seems I was worried for nothing. This literally left the eagle gawking his eyes, because the man's meaning there was that the one responsible was none other than Bai Yen. Instead of doing it afterwards, why didn't the queen just abolish them when they were at the Wang family's home? No matter how much the bird contemplated the issue, he was still at a loss over this puzzle. Eventually, he gave up and left as told. The night was deep, and it shadowed the sky like a curtain. For this reason, even when a ginormous dragon zoomed through the air and cut through the clouds, none were able to notice the wavy patterns in the sky. However, this abnormal event didn't last for long before the serpent came to a half in its flight to make landing. Yen Yen, we can stop here for me. All smiles there. Rennie readily jumps off the dragon's back. Remember though, it will only be a few more days before the great gathering at the medicine sect. You must attend, all right? Picked up a teenager for. Shifu, you really don't need me to send you? Bai Yen furrows her brow and asked. Coughing awkwardly using that guilty vocal. Rennie didn't need to think twice before replying. No. I and your other two Shifus will go to the medicine sect on our own. We can meet up there instead. Because he's the one who inadvertently leaked the news of Bai Yen sneaking away, and then dumping the blame on his third brother. There's no way Run-E would allow the pair to meet. Okay. Nodding her head without further thought, Bai Yen accept the excuse as was. Then we will meet the three of you there as you wish. Making a shallow smile, Bai Yen didn't reply right away. Instead, she shifted her gaze down at the adorable little steam bun next to her arm. Wang Xiaoping of the Wang family is my son's friend. That's why I did that, in order to not make things difficult for him. What's more, if someone does pursue the matter and investigate, they will only assume it's an enemy seeking revenge against those two brothers, and not us getting involved. Bai Yen has no reason to fear any form of retribution from those two bastards. But that doesn't mean Wang Deqiu and his two children wouldn't. From what she can see, the first brother has a very dark heart. Against that sort of people, plus the resources at their disposal, it would just be a matter of time before they return the favor against their second brother. As such, this was the best solution for everyone without bringing the friction to the surface. So that's why, nodding his head like he's enlightened now, Rennie didn't want to dwell on the matter and moved on. Well then, the hour's getting late, so I'll go ahead first. Remember Yen Yen, you must go to the medicine sect and attend the convention. I and your other two Shifus will arrive shortly after I go meet up with them. They've been planning for this day for far too long, ever since they became aware of Bai Yan's talent anyways. Don't assume Ren-E and his two brothers are all fine and dandy after breaking into the 7th level of their alchemic ability. It's still a far cry from that old bastard of the medicine sect. Compared to an 8th or 9th level alchemist, the three of them were still puny. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. So, If they themselves couldn't achieve the magnificent glory of one-upping those old-timers in that blasted sect, they could only look to the next generation. After going their separate ways with her second Shifu, Baiyan Draki, go in that direction for the medicine sect. Patting the serpent's head, she's starting to get accustomed to ordering this big fella around. Grorwer! Issuing a defeating roar in response, the glass dragon wasted no time in flapping his wings. The place they are headed to was a place called the Medicine Mountain, also home to the medicine sect that's located at the peak. Due its nature of being extremely rich in nutrients, the soil here was ideal for producing some of the rarest herbs across the land, hence making it the ideal holy ground for them scholars of alchemic pursuit. Perhaps it's due to the convention being around the corner, from what used to be an averagely walked path up the mountain, has become a parade of merchants and travelers. This would of course not bode well with the enchanting woman, who dislikes being crammed in with so many. After musing over her options, she soon found another path, a more secluded road just for herself. Naturally, anyone would find it strange that no one would take this trail. But the answer soon came to light after taking notice to the demon beasts lurking within the bushes. They are much more powerful than the regular kind. However, instead of attacking the small party, the dragon left behind due to its scary appearance, these creatures didn't even have the nerve to approach them. In fact, they were proactively retreating to make way like a king had just arrived at their doors. Mother! Tugging at his mother's sleeve all of a sudden, Xiachen points to a tall patch of grass nearby. There's someone over in that direction. I think he's fainted. Should we help him? It's exactly as per the little boy says. Baiyan had noticed the presence of another much earlier than her son. However, they were on unfamiliar grounds, hence the reason why she didn't want to get involved. But now that her son has spoken up, she couldn't just turn a blind eye anymore. Elder of the medicine sect, too. Uncle. Tightly pulling against Zhenning's hand, the peachy boy revealed a touch of rosy anger from his face as he made his case. These people are too horrible. Can you go help my friend? Xiang ran. This is related to the medicine sect though. The man clearly sounded hesitant. Unlike the Wang house who has the Misty Fairy house backing them from behind, their in-house might not be able to bear the consequences if they do offend such a power. That's why he's not stepping in. I don't care. You have to help Xiachen and his mother. If you don't help them, then I will. Giving a thorough stomp of his feet, and Xiang Ran makes his final move. I will leave home and never return. Towards his nephew's unreasonable demand, and Zhenning could only make a helpless smile. That's what happens when this little guy is his brother's only son, and the old pop's precious little sweet boy. But just as this man wanted to speak out to intervene, the reddish figure standing in the middle of the encirclement had made her move first. With one quick leap, Baiyan was now floating in the air. I originally didn't want to make things too difficult for the Wang house, because of Xiaoping's relationship, but you people simply wouldn't let us go. Almost immediately after that statement, a deafening roar of a dragon had come swooping over from the distance, followed closely by a ginormous shadow darting to their location and blocking off the sun in the process. Glass dragon, kill any who dares to block our path. Landing firmly onto the creature's back, Baiyan issues out this order like a king, a truly ruler of this world. Dra dragon. Wang Dei was deathly pale from the shock. Visit my site on Translation. If you wish to read ahead of public releases. How can this be? Dragons have long gone extinct 1,000 years ago. Why does she have a dragon as a ride? This is not possible. Of course, it's not just this scoundrel thinking this. It's been a millennium since dragons have appeared before the mundane in this world. To witness one in real life was equivalent to witnessing a god, a surreal creature of legend. That's why when news broke out of Xiachen becoming the master of this glass dragon, most have already gotten wind of this. The one exception being Fairy City. In the minds of these people, they only have the Misty Fairy house in their eyes. As to what occurs in the outside world, it's unimportant, making them relatively closed off if not for the occasional visitors from the other two major sections. Then just as everyone was in awe over the serpent flying in the air, A majestic voice untimely interjects itself. It seems I came at the wrong time. Should I leave and return after the Wang family finishes with their affairs? This voice may sound unfamiliar to all the rest, but Wang Diyuan and Wang Dei definitely recognizes it. Just like how they foretold, an elder in white soon appeared from the gloomy clouds, issuing out a ray of hope for these two brothers. Elder Zeng, you came just in time. The scoundrel didn't forget to shoot a venomous glare over to Bai Yan's location. This woman took away the dragon fruit we prepared for you. If your prestigious self came any later, then it would have been too late. Medicine Sect 1. Mother, this little uncle is so pitiful. Why don't we help him? Tugging at his mother's sleeve, Bai Shachen's bright baby eyes were filled with sympathy. Since Bai Yan would rarely refuse the little steambun's request, it didn't take much for her to nod that head. You can follow me for the time being, but you must listen to me on the road, and can't act without my authorization. Can you do that? Changing from that lonely expression mere moments ago, a fair blooming smile instantly bursts forth from that dollish face. I can. In comparison to the secluded road that the party took, the entrance to the medicine sect was rather noisy right now. Even so, that doesn't mean just anyone could get into the place. They need an invitation. Fortunately, Run-E thought of this ahead of time. Right before the elder left, he specifically handed over the slip to the woman, thus allowing her to bypass the two guards smoothly. Mother, is this the medicine sect? It's quite different from what I imagined it to be. The little steambun was rather taken aback by the bustling bazaar that appeared before his eyes. First rubbing her son's head over that remark, Bai Yan patiently explains the reasoning. This is not the real medicine sect yet. It's only the outer perimeter town used by them to trade and such. Think of it like a capital city and a palace. One stays at the edge while the other stays at the center. Making a faintly understanding nod, the kid didn't care whether or not he got it. Okay, I will listen to you, mother. Amused by the boy's obvious confusion, Bai Yan only smiled at him without pointing that out. She's more concerned with a certain face at the moment, specifically someone called Bai Zhangping who lives right here in the medicine sect. Forget it. The day of the convention is still not here yet. Meeting later on that date is the same anyways. Medicine sect. Come in. Slowly opening those eyes, the one speaking was none other than the mentioned Bai Zhangping. Creak. Young master, I have something to report. Respectful in his tone, this man in green appears quite excited in his demeanor. What is it? Bai Zhangping frowned and asked. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. My lord, regarding the matter of observing the one you mentioned before, I have now gotten news of something great regarding the Mississippi nowadays. Whenever this man would hear of any news related to Bai Yan's welfare, ever since returning to the medicine sect, he would instantly tighten up, because he's well aware of what sort of treatment the girl went through during her youth. Young master, according to the information in my hand, Miss Bai Yan is in fact not a true daughter of Bai Zhengxiang, rather a adopted one entrusted to his wife Lan Yu through someone she knew. Bang! The mindset of this young lord instantly exploded, throwing his brain into a state of emptiness. What did he say? Isn't biological, but rather a daughter entrusted to Lan Yu? Is this news accurate? Slamming that hand onto the table, Bai Zhangping's handsome face was a blistering red due to how hard he was breathing. It's absolutely true, the guard respectfully replies. This news was left behind by the last will of Lan Yu before her passing, and was confirmed again by the Dowager of the Lu Hui Kingdom. Medicine sect too, their last name is also Bai. And she looks so similar to her. Can it be? Slowly closing his eyes, Bai Zhangping's body was faintly shuddering as his heart kept giving rise to a single answer. Don't let anyone know about this yet. I'm going to seek my father's input first. Suppressing that urge to run out this second, the man's excited complexion couldn't be any more obvious. Yes, my lord. The guard bends down, showing his compliance before turning away. Alone again in this mildly quiet room, Bai Zhangping's calm facade eventually crumbles. Throwing himself out the door like a rocket, The urgent man makes quick work of the distance between his room and the study where he would eventually find his father currently being smothered with the scent of dust and old age. Son, what's the matter? Is it that the preparations for the convention is ready? Showing a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Father, do you still remember the story I told you about before? Of how a young lady managed to save me, and even cured me of my illness that's been stubbornly plaguing my body over the years. I do, but why? Raising a brow at his son's abnormally high expression. Do you want me to send her an invitation as well? If so, then there's no need to ask me. You can take charge in my place. No, father, that's not why I'm coming to you. It's for an entirely different matter. Sucking in a deep breath, Bai Jinpeng could no longer hold back his excitement and blurts out everything. There's something I didn't tell you. That girl, she looks nearly identical to Ninger's sister when she was younger. PKK. It's as if a silent snapping sound just occurred in the study room. Dropping the book from the palm of his hand, the elder slowly rises from his chair like a stumbling senior who couldn't control his body. In fact, the trembles were so intense that even the tea set on the desk was being affected and started to shake. What did you say? The girl who saved you looks very similar to your sister? Why have you never told me about this? His daughter's been missing for more than 20 years. Whether she's alive or not, this poor father doesn't have a clue. So, imagine how much of a shock this sudden windfall must be for him. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. It's because I've been investigating her background since I met her. At first the information came back as a negative. They say she's the biological daughter of a certain Bai house in that kingdom. Making a bittersweet smile, Bai Zhangping wanted to slap himself for being so foolish. Then why are you telling me this? Are you planning something? Clenching his shaking hand until it's making a crunching sound, the father fixes his gaze at his son, like an eagle being renewed with life. Looking straight back. I became worried after I left that kingdom. That's why I had someone tail her during this period in order to protect her. Guess what, father? I just got word of something really important. Just thinking back to what the guard told him just minutes ago, Bai Zhangping's mood would instantly be thrilled with joy. Turns out the young girl I met isn't the daughter of that scumbag who leads that household. Rather, she's an adopted daughter of the late wife handed over by another woman whose surname also happens to be Bai like ours. Based on this, I speculate she might be Ninger's biological daughter, though the middle-aged man didn't say the last bit aloud. But he could see he didn't need to. His father already knew what he meant. Clay. The sound was the direct result of the senior crashing back down to his chair and knocking the teacup from the desk. For this, the warm liquid had soaked into the various books that's considered invaluable to the outside world due to the knowledge written inside. Ninger's daughter? Is she really my granddaughter? Haha. I finally have a third generation to my line. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Medicine Sect 3. He laughed and laughed. Then came the muddled tears of grief trickling down his cheeks. Ever since his daughter Bai Ning disappeared without a trace years ago, he's been sleepless and distraught over this fact. For that, not only did his hair turn entirely white overnight, even his son Bai Zhangpeng has been unable to seek a caring wife due to the woes of that case. And now, word has returned that Bai Ning has a daughter? Even if the hope was little, it still means his daughter could be alive. Son, where is that girl? I want to meet her. Bai Changfeng's grandpa. Voice carried an incessant impatience like he's anticipating the best outcome possible. She should still be in the Luhua kingdom, though I did send her an invitation before, so she might be coming to attend. Cooling his initial excitement, Bai Zhangping reverts back to his usual calm self. Father, let's keep this matter away from the girl for now. I fear if we make a mistake and cause a circus, then it won't be good for us or Miss Bai Yan. There's already enough sadness in the air, so I don't want to increase that any further. Father, ignoring the discontented glare coming his way. It's true Bai Yan is very likely my niece, but that doesn't mean it's entirely certain yet. However, he pauses, giving a moment of silence for both of them to think on this. If the unfortunate does come true, I would still like to take her in as my goddaughter. She's a wonderful girl, and it's a shame to let someone like that go without help. Regardless of what sort of outcome this turns out to be, Bai Zhangping's attachment to Bai Yan has already been set in stone since the first day he laid eyes on the woman. Perhaps it's the face that looked so familiar to his younger sister, but the feelings are true. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Bai Changfeng was quiet. Letting the mood hang for a moment, he waves his hand in defeat. Fine, fine, I will do as you want me to. In any case, regardless of what the results are, I will still take the lass into my medicine sect and properly raise her as is. Besides, those 3 rascals from the Holy Land's been coming over recently to flaunt in front of me about their amazing disciple. If that lass Bai Yan can become a member of my medicine sect, then we can one-up the rest, just like usual. Of course, the most important factor in his decision here still lingers around the fact that Bai Yan looked far too similar to his daughter Bai Ning. Even if she isn't my granddaughter, at the very least I can soothe my old heart by reminiscing that face. Bang! Out of the blue, the door to the study room was suddenly pushed open, and in came another person whom neither son and father here wanted to see. Compared to most of the members in the medicine sect, who knows how to keep a certain standard for themselves, this granny could only be called a shrew. As a result, Bai Changfeng's expression instantly sank and became exceptionally ugly. What do you want now? Annoyed by the interruption, the lord and master of this great power made no effort to hide his foul mood. Brother-in-law, you have to get justice for me. Those people out there is talking behind my back and calling me a leech that doesn't do anything to contribute to the medicine sect. How can they say that about me? This place is my brother-in-law's home, meaning it's my home. Wiping the tears off her old face. If you continue to let those people make such irresponsible remarks, then how can you ever face my dead sister? Tightening his hand into a ball, that last remark definitely hit a sore spot for the elder. Humph. If not for my late wife, then none of you people would have ever taken a step into my home. What do you want then? The old lady then reveals her true color with that smug grin. Brother-in-law, I see that Zhangping is already 40-something, and without a single child. Why don't I have my granddaughter Inger become his goddaughter? She is so sensible and good. I'm sure she will be very filial to him in the future. Humph. Understanding the intent of this old shrew, the grandpa couldn't help but make a snarling sneer with his mouth. First, my medicine sect has very strict rules. Aside from producing a bunch of thick skins like you, who would dare talk behind our backs? Secondly, a girl like Ying is too much for me. I can't afford it. Medicine sect 4. Compared with his father who hailed from the medicine sect, Bai Zhangping's mother only came from a normal household. But due to her outstanding ability, the pair eventually managed to overcome all the odds and got together. A true love story of heart and tears. But when 2 families of unequal standings get together, there's bound to be an unbalance of power. That's why the late mistress of the great medicine sect would go to such extreme means of requesting the husband to take care of her maiden family. They are average and without power. Zhangping, I know it's because you think Inger is too outstanding. That's why you would say such things. If you don't want to recognize her as your goddaughter, then that's fine. I still have my grandson Minger, though the child is a bit untamed, but he's a very filial boy. Unable to take a hint in his nephew's ridicule, the old granny continues on with her irritating rant. In any case, you have no children anyways, and I doubt you will ever find a partner with your ways. If we are going to let the medicine sect fall into the hands of an outsider, then it would be better to let my Minger inherit it. Don't worry, I can guarantee he will be a great lord and see to it that you be greatly cared for. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Unable to take it anymore, Bai Changfeng finally snapped and smashed the teacup on the table. When have my position ever become something to be connived after by the likes of you? Don't think my patience has no limit. No matter how much I love your late sister, I will not permit others to have such thoughts while in my presence. If you test me again, even once, I will toss you out of my home. Brother-in-law, Old Madame Ye's expression also darkens as a result. I am only doing this for your sake. When you and Jiangping is gone after growing old, who will look after this place? I'm only offering you a solution by letting Ming'er help. Now you are turning my goodwill into an act of evil. Talk about repaying a good deed with a bad one. In a fit of rage, the old shrew stamps her feet and turned away for the outside, all the while showing that twisted face of hers. Damn you, Li Jing. If you had agreed to let your bitch of a daughter, Bai Ning, marry my son years ago, then none of this would be happening. So what if no one else would admit it? Bai Ning, that little bitch, has already disappeared for nearly 20 years. She must have died somewhere in the wild already. I can't let things continue like this. Brother-in-law is starting to distance himself from my family with each passing day. If the situation persists, it will just be a matter of time before my grandchildren and I get expelled from this place. I must make Jiangping take Ming'er as his son. Flickering a flash of sinisterly intent from her iris, old Madame Yi picks up her pace for the intended destination. Pained by his father's guiltiness, the son here hurried to help soothe the senior's back. Oh father, there are things one can't do. As long as you know you've done your greatest, then there's nothing to fret. Over the years anyone can see the level of indulgence you instilled upon the Yi family. If mother knows what you've done for them in the heavens, then I'm sure she wouldn't blame you either, when you make the final decision. I can only hope, my son. Heaving a long sigh. I'm tired, leave me and let me rest. When the time is right, don't forget to bring that girl to me. Yes, father, I promise you. Giving his old man an affirmative nod, Bai Jiangping promptly left to carry out his plan. Now, alone again and with a peace of mind, Bai Changfeng then slowly strolled over to a closet where a precious portrait has been stored. Opening it, what came into view was a warm woman gently smiling back at him, raising the trickles of tears inside the heartbroken man. Are you going to scram or what? 1. Jing'er, I have treated the Yi family well as you wished, but now they are getting ideas about our son. Choking at his own emotions, the grandpa needed a moment before continuing. If you were still alive, you wouldn't want to see such an outcome, would you? Touching the woman's face in that portrait, Bai Changfeng's gaze exuded the sense of love found only in those who truly knew what it means. So, when I can no longer endure after they cross my limit, I hope you won't blame me if I did something to hurt them. Why is the world so cruel? Jing'er is such an outstanding woman. How can a family like that produce someone so great? If this is the case, then my medicine sect won't have to be afraid of not having a successor anymore. As for Jiangping, making another sigh at the thought, his heart has never been focused in that direction. With my age, I fear that day won't come even after I am gone. While the father and son were preparing to carry out their plans, something else was happening not so far away at a particular inn. Brilliant, seductive, the man's very existence demanded attention as soon as he stepped through the main door, which immediately left the occupants inside gasping from astonishment. However, this was not the feministic kind that one would want to trifle with. This entity radiated the image of a king. In fact, it was so omnipotent that the very aura alone could suffocate their lungs if they weren't careful. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Finally, after a long minute of drooling awes from the masses, someone did eventually come back to their senses and whispered to their peers. This man is so beautiful, yet his aura is so scary. I doubt any woman in this world could ever tame such a wild horse. That may not be. I think the medicine sex Ying would have that ability. First, let's not mention the girl's skill. The fact that I heard the young lord intends to take her as a goddaughter is enough to put her into that position. Meanwhile, upstairs on the second floor of this inn, a woman dressed in a light green dress was currently looking down at what's occurring below. Uncle Chung, what's your opinion of that man's strength? The one known as Yi Chung remains silent for a while. It is unfathomable. Unfathomable? Gently tapping the table, a faint smirk escapes the girl in green. Grandma wants my brother to become the heir of the medicine sect. But with his sort of personality, it will only just be a matter of time before he destroys it with his philandering. Shame I'm a girl, otherwise I could do it instead. But my granduncle would never agree to it, nor would my grandmother. Miss, your meaning is? The elder asks, unsure what to make of the girl's sudden frankness. What if I found a powerful husband? That man down there, didn't you say his strength is very good? I can set him as my target. Miss, you are too impulsive, shaking his old head. Do you know anything about his background? What if he's already with a wife and child? How could we allow you to become someone's concubine considering your status? And even if he is exceptionally strong, his background is not qualified to be your husband. Till end do us part 1. Nibbling at the woman's ear. Deetsong naturally wouldn't miss the signaling glances between the sneaky pair. We will talk about our problem after I am done. Swirling his head around, the man's gaze swiftly fell upon the insignificant ants down below himself. Or more specifically, to Wang Dei, who was gulping at that intimidating existence. Father, save me. I don't want to die. The scoundrel makes a plea to the grandpa, fearing he would be the first to suffer that wrath. In response, the family chief of this Wang house only closed his eyes, allowing his body to tremble slightly due to the unsettling sensation coursing through his veins. Miss Bai Yen, I choose the first option of driving my sons out of the household. Being expelled is better than death. Wang Dei instantly degenerated after hearing that. Slouching his back into a curve, this middle-aged fella looked like he just aged 10 years over in that split second. When did I ever promise something like that? It was then the domineering and dark voice casts its shadow over the people. You think a single word is enough to settle things after attacking my wife and child? What does sir want then? Showing a bitter smile, the old grandpa steels his own nerve to ask. Apologize to my wife by kneeling on the ground. Unyielding and unmerciful, Deetsong's voice was bone-chillingly cold. I won't suffer such humiliation. Kill me if you like. Wang Dei was really angry. I've already been expelled from home. Now these people still want to humiliate me? But pompous words don't equate to his own courage. Following that proclamation, a loud and deafening roar had come down from above, sending the scoundrel shuddering with horror at the realization. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I know my wrong. Please have mercy on me, Mississippi. This literally left everyone flabbergasted as their jaws dropped. What happened to the death over humiliation? It was just one roar. That's enough to make him pee his pants. Then again, it was an understandable reaction after their eyes fell upon that thick mass of flocking birds in the sky. Instead of showing contempt, only sympathy remains for the Wang brothers, who made a true fool of themselves today. I have already apologized. Can I leave now? Not even brave enough to raise his head when asking. Wang Dei only had the look of a coward as he shivered uncontrollably. What sort of sin did I ever do to encounter these two monsters? When did I say you can leave just because you apologized? Raising a bloodthirsty grin, Deetsong begins toying with the fool according to his will. You. Green with anger in his face, Wang Dei wanted to flare out at the damning couple. However, he knew the only chance he has was to play submissive. What else do you want from me then? Say it now so I can do it. Ignoring the kneeling man down below, Deetsong returns his gaze over to Bai Yin for the answer. What do you want to do with him? Have them leave the Wang house entirely with their close members. If I were to ever learn of their return, then I will personally cut off their legs. A flash of light flickers within the woman's iris, showing she meant it. Okay. In light of that frown, Deetsong didn't raise an objection and only sneered at the contemptible man. Scram then. Like being granted amnesty, Wang Dei wasted no time in pulling his daughter up from the ground before fleeing out of this place. Although the identity of being part of the Wang family was very important to him, but that's nothing in comparison to his own life. Therefore, the scoundrel didn't want to spend another minute here out of fear for the woman, changing her mind in the last second. Just you wait. One day I will return everything you did to me today, not forgetting to cast a departing glance back over. This was the last thought Wang Dei had in his mind when disappearing from view. Are you going to scram or what? 3. The timing of Song's entrance couldn't be any more inappropriate. Not only did he get to witness firsthand Bai Yan handing a handkerchief over to the teen, their hands are actually touching. In a blink of an eye, a storm seems to have covered the entire room, due to the man's gloominess. Song, what a coincidence that you came at this time. Twitching in the corner of her mouth after jerking up from the chair, Bai Yan hurries to take the lead in directing the story. Yes, what a coincidence this is. Stomping over to make a grab for that dainty hand in question, Song's appearance was overflowing with the ooze of jealousy while he eyed the lolly-faced opponent. What were you two doing just now? I was helping Piggy wipe his tears. Piggy, your handkerchief is really just for that pig. Yep, only for the pig. She regretted it the second after that involuntarily response. I clearly didn't do anything here. Why am I explaining myself back forth and forth in front of Song? Not like I need to anyways. As for the pink piggy who's responsible for the misunderstanding, the poor thing already lost all semblance of its former self. Scared to the point where he couldn't even raise his pig head. The little guy was clearly being overwhelmed by that dominating aura. Who is he? Pressing his lips together, Song continues to ask. Working fast in the brain, Bai Yan blurts out the first thing that came to mind. My little brother. Your little brother? How come I never knew you had another little brother aside from Bai Xiao? This, stumped by that comment. If I say he is, then he is, am I right, my son? Without disappointment, Bai Xiaochen hurries to nods his little head like a rocking drum in support. Uncle Mo is mother's little brother, that's right. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. If he's your mother's little brother, then why are you addressing him like that? Note. He used his surname instead of Shang, which would be considered a formal way of addressing someone, and not a close family member. Showing a dull face like he's lost, the little steambun didn't get the question from his old man. Did I say something wrong there? Yen, dubious in his eyes, Emoli Shang returns a look of his own at the tyrannical figure across from himself. Have I met him before? Why can't I remember anything? Heavily furrowing that brow, Emoli Shang painfully grabs onto his own head in pain. That cheek had turned dreadfully pale like it's been devoid of color, bordering on the line of transparency even. Shang, frightened by that sudden change, Bai Yan made a quick dash over in order to rub the teen's forehead. If you forgot, then it's fine. There's no need to push yourself. Some memories are not meant to be remembered. That's why some people choose to forget those painful ones. Stiffening over the touch, over the soothing voice, the lad gradually returns to norm. Okay, I will listen to you. Likely stable in his emotions again, Emoli Shang then slowly stood up like he's been released. Oddly enough, the impression was neither feministic nor manly from his blooming smile. It's just pure and clean like the good of the world. Son, go back with Shang and rest. I will come join you two afterwards. Flicking a wink at the baby boy, Bai Yan orders. Okay, mother, I will wait for you. Giving one final and reluctant glance at the unfinished dishes on the table, Bai Xiaochen firmly licks away the last bit of sauce from his thumb, before jumping off the chair. Uncle Mo, I am so tired. Can you take me to my room to rest? Till end do us part 3. The scene's a chaotic battlefield with the sky illuminated using the blood of two opposing forces. Yin, go back with me, okay? The one speaking was an almost surreal fairy-like man, peerless and divine. He's the avatar of all that was good in this world. This man, who is he? Just as Bai Yan's heart was thumping with immeasurable pain at the image, a familiar voice once again blew up from beneath those memories, sending her head back into a blank state. I have already planned to leave with him, just leave us. Her eyes were filled with astonishment as the scene shifted to another battlefield, where another woman stood at the forefront. Why does this woman look so similar to me? Wait, no. To be more accurate, aside from the clothes on that body, what she's witnessing was a woman who had the voice and appearance consistent to her own. Then there's that man beside the woman. Though the face was blurred out as well, Bai Yan could immediately recognize who it was. Song. That's right, aside from this man, Who else could produce such a domineering and arrogant aura? Why would Song appear in my mind? Yin Yen, have you really chosen him? The fairy-like man was full of sadness when he spoke. You and him are destined to not end well, nor are those people willing to let you go for this. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I thought you would understand this better than anyone else. Ever since you've forsaken me for the sake of the world, we are doomed to be on opposing ends. But he is not the same as you. I don't care. Until the end, I will stay by his side till death do us part. Bang! It was directly after that speech that Bai Yan's consciousness was thrust into a spiral spin, bursting the illusion and bringing her back to reality. What did you do to me? Faintly white in the face over the extreme emotions coursing through her veins, the woman's first reaction was to ask the man lying above herself. This translation is only hosted on Translation. Why did I see such a picture in my head? Contract. Song showers her with a devious grin. I've contracted you. No matter where you go from now on, I will be able to bring you back to my side using it. Aghast by that answer, Bai Yan's complexion instantly changed. You didn't get my agreement yet you forced me into a contract? If I said it, would you agree? Invoking his finger across that tender face, Song's smirky grin showed how happy he was over his act. Whether or not you like it, Yin Yen, from now on you and I are in the same boat. My life is in your hands. You live, I live, you die, I die. We will forever be together until the end. You're crazy. This man is really crazy. He actually used such methods to tie me down. Song, I am very serious in what I'm about to ask you, so answer me honestly. Releasing her already frowning face, Bai Yin turned stern and serious. Ask away. The man readily answers. Who are you? She has a lot of questions, and many pertains to that scene from earlier, especially the part where Song appeared. I am your husband, your son and your future daughter's father, your parents' son-in-law, your brother's brother-in-law. What else do you want to know? I will answer them all one by one. Picked up a teenager, one. Bai Yan's heart shuddered, allowing her eyes to close and letting that blood-ridden scene to reappear before herself. It's too real. Obviously she was watching this from a bystander's perspective, but the emotions, the pain, the warmth from their hands touching till the end, everything was so real that it hurts. Shooting her eyes open again and returning herself back to reality, Bai Yan confronts the person from above. Song, can I really believe in you? You can believe in me wholeheartedly. Fine, I will trust you just this once, but if you forsake me, I won't let you go. Maybe it was for the previous throbbing, or the scene she saw in that flood of memory. But regardless of what it was, she's willing to take this gamble even if it was only this one time. Then Yin Yen, when will you return to the demon realm with me? All smiles from that handsome face. Song gently combs through the woman's hair in anticipation of the answer. Rubbing her chin, the woman puts on a contemplating appearance. I said I would only believe in you. I never said anything about marrying you just yet. Then when are you willing to marry me? Humph. That will depend entirely on your performance. Blinking all innocently like her very own son, Bai Yan's playful look right there, and then was intoxicating. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As a result of that careless seduction, Song could no longer hold himself back. Leaning down again with his overwhelming self, he reignites the burning flame from within. Then I will let you see my performance now. But that's not going to do with the woman. Turning sharp in those irises, Bai Yan's temperament suddenly got cold and distant. Song, if you touch me again before I fall in love with you, then I promise I will never love you again in this lifetime. In light of that threatening proclamation, the smiles from those lips never once changed, thus emphasizing her point even further than what would happen if she were to frown or get angry. For this demon king, he definitely has the desire part of this relationship filled up, but to say he's deeply in love was still too early at this moment. Therefore, Song could only stop in his actions midway and endure that discomfort in the lower rod. I will wait for you, and I will work towards building up our bond till neither of us can ever say no again. The man's voice was low and hoarse as he turned around, reaching over for the quilt and covering the woman in the bed. Until that day comes, I will keep my promise. Then why aren't you leaving? Bai Yin slightly frowns in her face as she asked. I'm afraid you will be scared if I leave. That's why I have to stay and protect you from those wolves. All serious in his tone. The man just had to ruin the precious moment with his shamelessness. Scared. Snickering a sneer, Bai Yin found it rather amusing. Ever since she left her family in the previous life, she has never known what fear was. This was true when confronting the unknown, and it remains true even back when she was struck down by that lightning strike in her last moments of life. Deet Song, you set a contract without my consent, so I have to give you something good in return. The man originally thought she would be angry, and was even ready to accept the impending fury. However, what came next was something totally beyond his expectations. A kiss. Boom. Feeling the blood rush right up to his head from that contact, his entire existence was ready to explode from the excitement. She actually took the initiative to offer me a kiss? It's way too sudden. In a reflexive urge, Deet Song promptly pulled that body closer with his hands and pressed in deeper. Eventually, two constricting bodies were tumbling back and forth atop of the bed, allowing the faint gleam of the moonlight to shine through to their indecent act. After a long period of their electrifying experience, Deet Song was long asleep by then. Chest open and robe partially untied, he was oh so close to the place of Zen. As for the woman currently lying there atop of him, Bai Yin was rather pleased with her little deed, based on that sneaky grin there. You will have to try harder next time if you want me, Deet Song, hee. She really did go all out this time, because all that remains clinging to that perfect body of hers was a thin layer of underwear, barely enough to cover any of her private parts. Picked up a teenager, too. Oh, Deet Song, why do you always fall for the same trick even after the last? Revealing a beam of success from her gleeful eyes, Bai Yin quickly dresses herself again, before disappearing off into the moonlight. The Wang family's home. After all this time, Bai Xiachen was still drawing his circles beside the big tree in his crouching position. As such, Ren Yi second Shifu was starting to get extremely anxious in his demeanor. Oh, my sweet little ancestor. I will take you to find your mother, okay? If you keep being like this, then my old heart is going to die from distress. During the couple of years that they spent together on the Holy Island, the three troublesome old-timers would do anything to please this little guy. Even if it meant plucking the stars off the starry sky, they would gladly do it. Mother! From his moody, depressed state, the little steam bun suddenly cries out, and made a dash for a certain direction from the front. Following this, what came into view for everyone was a wondrous female figure that's slowly coming over. Mother! I thought you didn't want me anymore. All red in the eyes after being picked up by those slender hands, the little fella looked all aggrieved, like he just faced the biggest indignation out there. Doing the same, Rennie first wiped the old tears from his eye before speaking. Oh Yen Yen, where have you been all this time? After you left, your precious son here has been crouching beside the tree, and refused to talk to anyone. No matter how I tried, he just ignored me and everyone else. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. You are mother's most important son. How could I ever not want you? Giving the boy a kiss on the forehead, her heart's ready to melt over her son's behavior. Really, the kid's eyes were twinkling with light over that soothing statement, making a lovely smile. I love mother the best, no one can compare with mother. Pleased by her son's sweet-talking, Bai Yin then lets the boy down before shifting her gaze over to the old-timer. Shifu, let's go, shall we? Ah! Slightly started there. Ren Yi's first reaction wasn't an affirming nod, rather it's an inquisitive look. But what about your man? Slyly smiling at the question, Bai Yin grew all cheeky. If he's that capable, then he can come find me on his own. Didn't he claim he could find me wherever I am after doing that contract? Alright, let's put it to a test then, humph. K-Queen. Sweating all over, the big eagle immediately attempts to stop this before it's too late. Wouldn't it be bad if you leave like this, Queen? What if the king finds out afterwards? Pricking her brow, Bai Yin replies indifferently to the bird brain. He is resting now. Besides, I never intended to let him know to begin with, so don't go bothering him. But, the muttering of the eagle finally irked the little steam bun. Can't you understand what my mother is saying? Turning dark in his cute little face, Bai Xiachen narrows in his threatening eye at the ignorant fool. Little Highness, whoever dares to stop my mother, then I will tell Batty Father on them. I want to see if he will believe me or you. Bai Xiachen was an overprotective mother fanatic, hence the reason why he wouldn't allow anyone to defy Bai Yan's order. My mother is always right, and no one is allowed to stop her. Sure enough, panic swiftly arose from the eagle's heart. Hurrying to lower his head. Yes, Highness. Now that's a good bird. Patting the eagle on the head like it's a pet. If you are obedient, then I will speak good stuff about you in front of Batty Father. And if you are afraid of being blamed, you can just say mother, and I won't come home if he blames the innocent. Ying 3. Attractive? I don't need such thing. As long as I have a little chrysanthemum blossom like you, then that's all I need. Bai Yan's face instantly sank into an evil squint. What did you just call me? Little chrysanthemum blossom? Oh, Yin, did I say something wrong again? Showing a all-innocent face, Song really questions himself on whether or not he made a mistake again. I'll deal with you once we are alone. Giving the ignorant bastard a ruthless pinch, she grinds her molars in annoyance. Taking this all in from the side, Yi Ying's endurance was seriously taking a beating. She may have a strong will, but this level of flirting shouldn't be something an unmarried maiden should witness or hear. Therefore, it took all the nerve she had just to contain that unbridled fury from leaking out. You too. But just as she's ready to speak out again, the man's gloomy glare had stopped it in its track. What are you still doing here? Song's question was unnerving, sounding like it's a howling horror from hell itself. Taking a second to calm herself. Uncle Zhong, let's go. Even so, the shakiness in her voice could not be denied. It's quite apparent the level of anger she didn't lose out to the fear at all. That's why the door ended up closing with a loud thundering bang. Once the two outsiders left, it's her form of retaliation. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. What did you do to that old man? Bai Yin asks with her brow raised. Songs may be able to hide his actions from the world, but not from me. He offended you, making a smirking grin. Anyone who dares to offend my woman must be punished. The fact that I didn't kill him outright is already an act of mercy. Smiling as well. Just so you know, I've met the young lord of the medicine sect before. I know. Those people wouldn't have been able to escape alive if not for that reason. Oh, forget it, I only met him by mere coincidence back then. Even if I did save him once, that's my own willing decision. As for that Ying, I am still uncertain whether or not she's Uncle Jinpeng's daughter yet. Back outside the restaurant, Ying have already stepped out of the establishment, where she could vividly catch the clear glimpse of those two dashing figures from the opened window. Their flirtatious mingling was so aggravating that her first had clenched into a hard ball. Uncle Zeng, pay close attention to that woman for me. I won't give up so easily on the man I have chosen. Clenching until the crunching sound of bone could be heard from that hand, Ying vows to herself to take what she deems hers. So what if he has a wife? There are so many people out there who would discard their wife and child for another. Adding one extra to the mix doesn't mean anything. Yes, milady. With his head low and hand pressed against the chest, the old senior's condition remains horrible as the sweat oozed out of his ashen-looking face. What's wrong, Uncle Zeng? Seemingly noticing the oddity with her follower, Ying asks with uncertainty. Smiling wryly, the old senior shakes his head. I'm not sure. My body's been feeling abnormal ever since that man made a move against me. But don't worry, milady. We're members of the medicine sect. I'm sure he wouldn't dare to actually harm me when we were under so many watchful eyes back there. If others didn't know better, it's like they are already members of the medicine sect, and not just leeches permitted to stay under special conditions. If that's the case, then that's good. Once we are back home, I will have some of the alchemists take a look at you and diagnose your condition. Loosening her grip and regaining some calm, Ying was back to her usual egotistic self. Let's go. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.